Please take your breakfast and head over to your seats. We're just about to start. There's some tea, snacks for you. So take your breakfast and head over to your table. each and every one of you. I am super excited to be here with you. I can actually feel the energy, the vibrancy in the room. Good morning, everyone. I gave you some tea and coffee, please. Good morning, guys. That's much better. My name is Victoria Wangeshi. I serve in Safaricom in the Enterprise Business Division. I am super excited to be your MC for the AI Experts 2024 conference. We're here, yeah. Love it. We are coming to you live from Michael Joseph Center in Safaricom headquarters in Westlands, Nairobi. And for the guys and our colleagues joining us online, karibuni sana to the AI Experts Conference 2024. We would like to know, where are you joining us from? So please drop a hashtag of the country you're coming from or joining us from. And also, please let me know your hello in your local language. Please tell me a hello in your local language and let me know which country you're coming from. So before we get started, allow me to share with you some housekeeping rules so that we can have an amazing, thrilling conference. Please keep your phones on silent throughout the engagement so that you can lock in on the conversations and the engagements that will be going through the conference. The washrooms are located to my left through the pathway here. So they are clearly marked washrooms on the pathway. To your right, those are the ladies. And to the left, you find the gents. In case of any fire emergency, what do? There are 3 exit points. The first one is to my left. Through the cafeteria, you go down the stairs slowly and calmly. The second fire exit is actually at the back of this room, which is the Michael Joseph Center. So at the entrance, that is a fire exit. As well as my last fire exit is to my right. So it's clearly marked fire exit, and you'll use their staircase, and we will all congregate at the HQ1 VIP parking, and there a fire marshal will engage us on the next steps. For any questions, especially to our online viewers, you please head over to the Q&A tab and you can drop all your questions onto that tab. For our guests in the room, please note there's free Wi-Fi, and I would like to also showcase that on our screen. You can actually scan the QR code. There you go. There's free Wi-Fi from the best connectivity in Kenya. Safaricom Connection Fiber. We have mgeni. Mgeni means guest in our language. In staying committed to our promise on diversity and inclusion, there is a live transcript that has been made available for anyone with hearing difficulties. For our colleagues who are joining us online, you can head over to the View Transcript tab right there on the Zoom application, enable the transcript, and you'll be able to follow the conversation and enjoy this event in a very comfortable manner. Now, last but not least, there is a vital ritual that we always practice as a Vodacom family. And this is where we remind each other of why safety is paramount for you and me. So please, my colleagues in the room, please join me actually, in saying the rallying call. And to our online viewers, please drop the Zero Harm rallying call on the chat. So on 3, on 1, 2, 3, the rallying call is zero harm. Getting it done together. No one gets hurt. Do the right thing. So that was added. So let's try this again. Zero harm. Getting it done together. No one gets hurt. Do the right thing, which is very important. All righty. Once again, I want to welcome you all to the AI Experts Conference 2024. And in this engagement, we are going to explore the latest advancements and innovation in the field of artificial intelligence. AI, as we all know, has rapidly transformed our world, and from revolutionizing industries as well as reshaping how we think and how we see reality. Our lineup of speakers includes world-renowned experts, thought leaders, and industry pioneers. So they will be sharing their insights, experiences, and groundbreaking research on the future of AI. Are we all excited, guys? Are we excited? I love it. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our key guest speaker, and this is none other than our CEO of Safaricom PLC, Peter Ndegwa. Please give him a warm welcome as he comes to stage. Karibu sana, Peter.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Probably it's a user. Good morning, everyone. Is it because I don't have as much energy as Wangeshi, or what is it? Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I may not be Victoria, but I have enough energy. So, good morning. Good morning, our guests.
Good
morning, Safaricom team. Let's try again now and see who wins. This is why competition, everyone is very competitive. Let's hear from our guest. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, let's hear from Safaricom.
Good morning.
All right, I'll say it's a draw. I'm sure people are going to think, oh yeah, we should the winners, the home team has won. So great to be here this morning. I know when Victoria introduced, there will be all these speakers, the experts, and all these things, and you guys are all being called experts. I have to start by saying I'm not an expert. But I know enough about AI to know the value that it brings to our society, but also what it can do to our business. But before I start talking about AI, and today, as I was coming here, I searched what is an AI expert, because all of you in the room, I'm told, are AI experts. So when I come around, I'll ask you, what do you understand by an AI expert? Before I go into the whole world of AI, I wanted to warmly welcome everyone who has come from outside of Kenya. For those who are from Nairobi, please let's clap for the team from outside. That's all you can do. Let's clap better. So Nairobi, as you'll have been told, is a regional hub in this Eastern Central African region. For those who will stay a few days, please explore the nightlife. I am told it is. Did you hear the words I used? I am told. It is. It is vibrant, and but welcome. You can be in the national parks within less than 45 minutes. When we hosted various teams from across Africa for the Leader Lab, they were very surprised that we hosted dinner in the middle of the national park. And many of the teams from Tanzania, from Egypt, and so on, the teams, Ethiopia, I've never forgotten that experience. And I'm giving a challenge to Charlotte to make sure that you direct the teams on where they can go. So welcome, welcome to everyone. And for those, so I'm told we have people from Vodacom, of course, a large group, from Tanzania, from Egypt, from Lesotho. Have I forgotten? From Ethiopia. Any other country I've forgotten? I'm good? Yeah? So I've gotten my homework right. And of course, from Kenya. So welcome. This is the second AI Expert Summit. The first one was held in SA, in South Africa, and delighted that we are hosting it here in Nairobi. It is about fostering collaboration, acknowledging you guys as the top experts in our business, but also talking about the thought leadership that you'll be hearing, especially from the real experts, not, not myself later on. But also just co-creating stuff and sharing how you are doing. It would be a great way of demonstrating our passion for living our spirit. As you know, the four elements of our spirit about customer, earning customer loyalty, collaboration, innovation, and purpose. So I hope that you can bring that to life. So as you know, Africa is rising and is becoming a tech hub in the world. And technology continues to evolve. And for us to keep up with the needs of our customers, we have in fulfilling their digital and financial services needs, given that's the business we are in, we need to keep up. And that's why this team is very important. I'll give you just a bit of background about the journey that we have taken here in Safaricom. So 4 years ago, or just around the time of COVID, we decided to come up with a new vision of being a purpose-led technology company, going beyond telco. And I know many of our organizations across Vodacom are on the same journey. However you script it, however, whatever language you use. And we decided that there were 3 elements that were going to be ingredients of ensuring that we get to that journey. The first was to go agile. This was very controversial in Kenya. I know many of the markets across Vodacom has gone agile. And there's always half-hearted, you go in, you come back, you're not sure. We decided to go all in. And I remember that I got all kinds of names. People said, well, if Peter will give up at some point, agile will not get anywhere. We've seen it before. And I said, unless I leave, we are going to continue to be on this journey of agile. And because I have not left, agile is still on. So the whole of consumer business, the whole of financial services business, and now enterprise has also joined all agile. We then recruited, the second aspect was to make sure that we bring in skill sets and talent. We recruited about 500 developers from the market. And many people said, oh, how are you going to fund it? I said, we'll figure it out. And we have actually we've been able to deliver financial performance and been able to admit all these people who came in as developers. And that has really enabled our organization to move a lot faster with respect to adopting technology. So today our technology team is about, I would say, just about 50-50 between digital IT and network. Previously it was 2/3 network and 1/3 IT. Now, and the third thing we wanted to do was to make sure that the big data and AI and also kind of business intelligence, we revamped that. We didn't have we had one or two people who were at the time being called the big data team. Today we have just below 60, so we've just set up an AI tribe. We had a big data team that was 40, about 50% being data engineers and the others being data scientists. And now Charlotte tells me we've added the 15 ML engineers that will allow us to be a full AI tribe. I know some of the guys from South Africa will probably say, where are you on this journey? Charlotte tells me we're in a great place. When we compete with the rest of the group, we are in a good place. So it's always good to have competition. But the most important is not who is ahead, who is behind. But actually within a very short period, we have been able to take this journey of going on a journey to discover what is big data, what is AI, and now there's Gen AI. And then we've gone beyond that. And because last year we got an approval from the board for 2030 vision where we are saying we want to be Africa's leading purpose-led technology company. And for us to be able to do that, we said our first mission is to embed what we call customer-first tech capabilities. Customer-first tech capabilities. Because unless we start, technology is of no good if it doesn't resolve either a societal issue or a customer issue. So we felt that the way to build the foundation of being a purpose-led, Africa's leading purpose-led technology company is to start by embedding customer-first tech capabilities. We can't do that if we do not have a very strong AI strategy. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why we decided we need a tribe that will be called the AI tribe. That's number one. The second, we said we have to raise the bar or raise the floor around everyone's capabilities. Yeah, so we have something we are calling 2+1. So the technology, the skills of the future, technology skills of the future, we choose 2 skills that we will give to ourselves as individuals and learn, and then 1 extra skill from each of the functions, or which is relevant for a function. So in enterprise, it might be a commercial skill. In financial services, could be whatever it is. And one of the 2 skills that we have mandated this year in Safaricom is AI. And I can confidently say, and I'm proud to announce, that we have now 94% of the 6,000 employees having completed the AI foundational skill set, a foundational course, which means that everyone will understand what AI, they are not experts like you guys, but they'll understand what AI, the power of AI. And for me, what I want everyone to do is not to feel scared about the future with AI. Because with all these jargons you guys use, yes, and with all the platforms and the models and all these things, which we'll talk about in a minute, the ordinary person in care, in the shops, in channel, in consumer, may feel, who are all these guys? These guys are the experts, as we don't know anything. So I want them to know that they can consume AI, whether it is, the way calls are answered, whether it is having a co-pilot that allows them to be able to know what do I recommend to the customer who has called, or whether it is no need to call for customers in certain places, especially at home. So that they understand, and I'm going to see many of them this Friday, they understand, in the world of AI, what is my role and how does it enhance and how does it make my role easier? Because unless we carry everyone along, you guys are going to be in a small bubble of experts, isn't it? And you're never going to be able to really resolve day-to-day issues that customers face, because the broad population is the one that faces the customers every day. So we have to empower them, we have to build capability, and we have to enable them, isn't it? So that's why it is very important that as you think and as you collaborate this week, think about how do we bring to life AI and Gen AI in a very simple way, and in a way that everyone, a very ordinary person within the business, can consume it, and our partners can do the same. And I'm happy that we're having this workshop, or we're having this summit. And I know there was also a mini hackathon that was held last week with our partner AWS on Gen AI, dubbed AI for Me. And this hackathon had 50 teams comprising of 250 colleagues. And I think all I'm trying to say, these collaboration sessions, whether they are hackathons, whether they are summits, whether it is the way you actually operate at home in your own businesses, need to leverage the broader organization so that we bring AI to life for our customers, for our society, and also for our partners, because we need to think about our dealers, our agents, and the community, the wider community. So I want to first then acknowledge all the work that all of you have done in your own individual markets. I know we are at different stages of growth, different maturity levels. Frankly, it doesn't matter. I think the most important is we are one community of AI experts that allows our business to propel forward and to fulfill the objectives that we have. So I'll just now cover what we are going to focus on in Safaricom. So we've done, I talked about the structure side, the employee side, the number of people. But what have they been doing? So of course we had to start by developing or creating a team, then ensuring that they have the right skills. Then the third thing was start to build models that allows us to start to experiment, which has happened, whether it's a model on fraud detection, whether it's a model or whatever it is. Of course, the team also really supported the rest of the business, especially around the CVM area in terms of recommendation. Initially, I think it was just simply bursts of SMSs. Eventually now, we have engines and all these things. And I don't want to go into the detail. We bought a Ferrari to allow us to, we used to have a Toyota, I'm told, in the past. And some of the people in the room know what I mean. But up to last year, about 18 months ago, we had about 100 models floating around across the business, experimenting, being used, and so on and so forth. And it has allowed us to learn a lot. Now we want to ensure that we scale how we use AI. Yeah? So in 3 areas. The first is on experience. So we want to create a more streamlined and engaging Safaricom experience for our customers. And one of the ways we want to make sure that that we do that is to make sure that everyone who is serving customers, or if all the way in terms of customer journey, we are applying AI in helping us understand the experience customers go through, the user journey they have, the way they think about the buying experience, how they fulfill that, how they actually eventually pay, and making sure that it is very, very, very intuitive, but also how we serve them. The care side is very, very, very important. So we want a more streamlined and engaging customer experience for our customers by increasing capabilities for our AI assistants, such as Zuri, and I'm sure you'll be introduced to Zuri, to be more cognitive. You guys will understand these words. More cognitive, more intelligent, and more engaging. We're also testing voice on Zuri for speech recognition. As part of improving customer experience, we developed models like fraud detection, ranging from identity theft to social engineering, enabling us to block fraudulent activities before they occur in the customer account. Because of our size of M-Pesa, many of the visitors know M-Pesa started in this country. Our daily transactions are close to $800 million. And if you're doing that number of transactions, there's no way we will ever detect fraud manually. So AI makes a huge difference. So using these models, we can identify theft, fraudulent DNS, using fake registration, social engineering, fraud, amongst others. We are just, and I know this is a controversial one, but I'll say it anyway for the benefit of the visitors. But for Kenyans, we are starting to support the government on healthcare for all, digitizing healthcare so that everyone has access to healthcare. It's very controversial at the beginning because it's such a big thing to launch. But if you think about the power of AI in an environment where you are delivering healthcare, it will make a major difference in the way patients are treated, in the way hospitals access information, in the way doctors think about this thing, the way track and trace, for example, for drugs, thinking about enabling doctors really start to think about, to understand patients in many ways. In digitizing how records are kept, yeah, mostly records, you go and get your image done by the radiologist team, then they have to interpret it, send it to the doctor. In the future, in the future of AI, this will change fundamentally. And when you overlay digitization across the whole customer journey, it will make a very big difference. So our target for 2027 will be 70% of resolutions for customers are provided by AI. I don't know whether that's ambitious or not. For those who think it's not ambitious enough, please push our teams and say probably we should achieve it earlier, but it will make a very big difference. The second pillar is the whole growth area, and which we have experienced, we have had much more experience in the past. It is about monetizing and building new business models for us to remain competitive. So whether that is the way you proposition, the way you put propositions in front of customers, the way you interrupt them when they are consuming, and also the way care and also people in the shops talk to customers and trade up customers as they serve them. Using AI will enable us to become much more competitive, but also it helps us join our businesses together, because previously we were still, and we still are, working in silos: consumer, enterprise, financial services. But actually, the more we get an integrated offering and power it through AI, it will make a very big difference. And this can also, of course, be extended into many other through personalization and recommendation. And then the final one is on productivity. So 3 areas: CX, of course, growth and monetization, and then productivity. Productivity is probably where, customer experience and productivity is probably where AI and Gen AI has the biggest, will have the biggest impact. Whether that is how we think about energy. Everyone, whether you're in South Africa, in Kenya, or wherever, energy is an issue. Power supply to our sites is an issue. In Kenya, 50% of our network cost is energy. So if we can leverage the power of AI and Gen AI to really understand how we optimize the type of energy we are using, when we use it, which sites we are using it, how we eliminate the use of the more expensive, the less climate-friendly, emission-friendly energy, will make a very big difference. And the scale is very significant. We can use AI to improve experiences of employees internally. So in terms of automating, digitizing processes, and ensure that we leverage this real asset to make our employees' experience easier. So I would say that I don't want to go into a lot more detail, but just to say you're in the right place. We have brought together a group of people that are passionate about the future of AI and big data more generally. You need to help us as leaders in the organization understand which areas we should be investing in. Is it capabilities? Is it systems? Is it the governance side? What should we be investing in to support you? And because I can tell you, and you can talk to the team from Safaricom, you have a blank check, but I need to see where you want to invest, and I want to see what it will deliver. If we deliver improvement in customer experience, that is the best way of actually going after our vision. If we improve the way we monetize, the way we proposition, productivity, it makes a huge difference. And remember, because you're using people, primarily people and platforms, the actual cost of delivering change is much lower than the investment we make in any other. I would choose investment in AI any day compared to, network and other guys, compared to investment in physical assets and so on and so forth. So I know that we'll receive a lot of clap even after I have left. So guide us on which areas we should help you invest in. That's one. Both in terms of money, platforms, and people. Yeah? I told you we didn't have, we had 1 or 2 people looking after big data and AI. Now we have close to 60. And those are that's the COE. Yeah? There's a lot more people across the business who are actually practicing and using AI and Gen AI. So that is, so guide us, and we will actually put the investment. But make sure as we talk through the next 2 days, we are talking about areas that will make a fundamental difference to customers. Yeah? The only way that we will show benefit is if our customers get better propositions, better experience, more intuitive way of using those propositions. And then also the third thing is, how do you work with the rest of the organization? How do you build capability? How do you support the 2+1 in Kenya, the equivalent in other markets across the Vodacom group? How do we partner with external parties to ensure that we leverage the capabilities they have? Yeah, we have lots of partners. We have a footprint. We have scale in our business. We can really leverage all the partners that within our ecosystem, and also outside, to be able to really bring AI to life. So don't feel constrained by the type of partner you should be thinking about. Safaricom, Vodacom, the family is willing to invest in whichever way we need to do to be able to bring this to life. So in conclusion, let me just make sure there's one item that, yeah. In conclusion, I want to reinforce you're welcome. Karibuni sana. For those who might not be East African, welcome very much. Karibu, and you should feel at home. Feel part of our community. Enjoy the next 2 days. Tell us at the end of the next 2 days what AI expert mean to us who are ordinary people who are not experts. But what I want to assure you is AI and leveraging big data, AI and Gen AI is at the top of every CEO's mind. So you should not be feeling that your share of voice and share of mind in CEO's minds is very high. It's very, very high. So you're in the right frame of mind. And for those who don't work and work with the AI team, you're also in a good place. And I'm looking forward to hearing what happens in the next 2 days. And I'm looking forward to also hearing who wins. Who wins? I'm sure there will be quite a bit of competition. But karibuni sana once again. Enjoy the next 2 days. And let's use AI and Gen AI to really propel our business into the future and be, in particular on customers, the benchmark of customer experience. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Asante sana, Peter. I don't know if there are any questions in the room. This is your moment. Are there any questions in the room you'd like to ask Peter while you're here in your stay?
As long as you don't request a budget when I'm here on stage.
You've told us that you want us to guide on the areas of investment. So the question is, what is the budget? No. Are there any questions? But I'd like to reiterate some of the things you've said, especially on putting the customer at the heart. There's something you said on technology. That yes, technology is no good if it doesn't resolve a society's problem. I think that is one of the things we need to take as we enjoy ourselves in this bubble in the next 2 days, trying to figure out the innovations and the areas of investment that we've been given. Any questions? I don't see any question. Peter, thank you so much. For the remarks.
When there are no questions, means the presenter was very clear. Thank you very much. Enjoy.
Asante sana. To our online audience and to our friends from the different Vodacom countries, thank you so much for joining us. We will be going on a short break from now till 9 a.m. So meanwhile, I would encourage you, go have your breakfast. I know some of us, this is the time probably you're waking up or you're driving to work. So please head on there and be settled by 9 a.m. For my colleagues in the room, I'll be seeing you at 9 a.m. So this is your health break. Enjoy yourselves. Asante sana.
In Olkalau, Nyandarua County, Joanne Dungu is filled with joy as she expects her 9th child. But everything would change after the birth. Her joy turns to tears. Her life turned upside down. There's an untold story inflicting misery on thousands of women. Through this episode, we will take you into the life of one such woman and her journey to change her fate. What you're about to see is a true story told by the real person and recreated by actors. This is Letters for Good.
Mimi naitwa Joanne Ndungu, Joanne Wangeshi Ndungu. Tunakaa Rurie, Olkalau, Nyandarua County. Imagine nilikuwa na watoto 8, lakini niliposhika mimba ya 9, uchungu ilikuwa nyingi. Uchungu siwezi iringanisha na ingine ya mtoto yoyote. Na tena mtoto akakuwa mkubwa. Juu alikuwa 3.9. Nilikuwa na shinda ya siku hiyo sikuwa najua ni fistula, lakini nilikuja kugundua ilikuwa fistula.
Fistula is an abnormal communication between the urinary bladder of a woman and her birth canal. More than 90% of cases is as a result of prolonged obstructed labor.
Fistula ni makojo na haja kubwa inatoka bila kujua na hujui imetokea wapi.
Safaricom and M-Pesa Foundations, we've been able to invest heavily in communities to improve healthcare. Fistula remains an issue or a condition which is not highly spoken about in this country. And that's what motivated us really to invest in fistula.
Kuna wakati utaamuka ukute uko wet. Sasa ukiinama ukiamuka unasikia sauti inatoka. Sasa unahisi haya ukiwa mbele ya watu. Sasa sitaki kuamuka na hiyo shinda ilikuwa inanisuia sana. Naye kazi ilikuwa ngumu juu singefunga. Juu ni lazima tusaidiane na bado niko na mtoto. Na bado tuko na watoto wengine, tuko na watoto wako high school. Sasa ilikuwa inaniforce nisikule lunch.
So these women withdraw further, they get stigmatized. More often than not, the family will start crumbling. The husband is likely to leave her.
Dungu ni bwanangu. Hata hakuwa anaelewa.
Mwili yako wewe ndio mwenye unafaa kuwa unajua. Lakini pia wewe hujui. Hebu jisikize vile unanuka vibaya sana.
Nilikuwa najaribu sana kujisuia asipatane na uchafu yoyote. Lakini tendo la ndoa si kama beleni. Mimi kuna wakati nilifunjika moyo. Sasa hapo nilifika mwisho. Hata nikahisi nitoke kwa boma niende. Ukiwa chini, unajidharau, unashindwa wewe ni wa nini ukiwa uhai. Nikakaa 6 years. Nikaona is too much. Sasa nikaanza kutafuta usaidizi.
Joanne, umefanya vizuri sana. Nimefurahi umekuja.
Mpaka ule nurse alikuwa ananitimbu dispensary. Akaniuliza kwani shida ni nini? Sasa nikamweleza shinda yangu vile inakuanga. Siwezi jivumilia choo, siwezi jivumilia haja dogo.
Sasa Joanne, ndio barua utaenda nayo JM kwa daktari Jose.
Asante sana. kulingana na hizi shida zenye umenipea na venye nurse Waruri alikuwa ameniandikia hapa, ninaona kabisa inaelekea kwa fistula, lakini ni vizuri kwanza tu screen kusikwe kuna shida ingine. Na hii test yenye tumefanya imeweza kututhibitishia kabisa umekuwa na shida ya fistula, na hii shida ndio imekuwa ikikusumbua kwa hiyo muda yote. Okay. Na uzuri tunaweza ifanya operation na hiyo shida ishe kabisa.
Aliniambia hii Joan, juu ni bei kali kutibu, unatakiwa pesa 1,100 ndio ufanywe operation ndio utimbiwe.
Majority of these women in the rural parts of Kenya who are very poor. It was better to look for something to feed the family first before thinking of going to hospital for assistance.
Joan, sasa
mzuri, karibu.
Asante. Una free medical camp.
Free medical camp?
Yes. Na wafanya operation zote including fistula yenye tulikuwa tunasema shida yako, they are doing it for free.
Nikarudi moyo.
Okay. The foundation has had a great impact in that it has come in to help these poor women who were not able to access that care.
In a year, we target to have quarterly fistula camps. That means we have at least 4 medical camps. However, we've noticed the numbers are still coming in, and sometimes we've also made decisions to even have 2 fistula camps within a quarter.
Nilipoenda wakaniangalia na wakaniambia kwa kweli nitimbiwe na operation, na ndio wako huko. Sasa niko free na nitatimbiwa bure. Walitueleza ni M-Pesa Foundation wamedonate hiyo chance na pesa ndio tutimbiwe, juu inakuaga shinda kupata matibabu. Mimi nilifurahia. Sasa tukiwa kwa hema, sasa nauliza huyu umekuja kwa nini? Mwingine umekuja kwa nini? Hii nikasikia vile anasema huyu. Hii nikasema kwani siko peke yangu? Hata nikacheka. Sasa ndipo wakaniambia sasa piga simu nyumbani, juu hutaenda nyumbani, kesho utafanyiwa operation.
Joan. And what joy. Just a 45 minutes surgery. What joy that brings. It's like we are giving them their life back to them. They are able now to go back to pursue, to achieve their dreams, to be the best that they can be.
Sasa ninaweza kunywa na nikisikia haja, hata kama ni haja ndogo, nafumilia, nashika, inashikika, nafunguanga saa 4, saa 2, nakula chenye nataka, nafanya kazi yeyote yenye nataka, hata huku nafanya kazi yeyote. Jubeleni sikuweza.
Karibu.
Nikiwa kwa kasi, saa ingine mama anakuja tunapiga story. Sasa tukiongea hivi, tunaongea, ninawapatia hiyo mambo.
The Kim Foundation has really helped us improve the advocacy in our community for women living with fistula.
Through the investment and in partnership with the specialists, in partnership with the hospitals and the other healthcare workers, we see this lady who has lived for such a long time with fistula going back to the community. We're not just focusing on the surgeries, but we're also looking at the reintegration. They are now accepted back to the community and also able to start economic empowerment programs.
Nakuanga na watu 3 wenye nashukuru. Nashukuru Irene na nashukuru Jose. Pia nashukuru hii foundation. Juu walinisimamia na pia wakanipea daktari mwenye atanitibu.
In Oloitoktok, Kajiado County, Gilbert Gitau, who was born with HIV and physical disability, struggled to find his way in the world. Join us as through this episode, we take you on a journey of hope from the hardest of upbringings to a life filled with possibility. What you're about to see is a true story told by the real person and recreated by actors. This is Letters for Good.
My name is Gilbert from Loitoktok. I'm a young farmer, a businessman. I'm also a PH, physical handicraft. People tend to see like you can't do this, you can't do that. And what basically you do is prove them wrong. This disability, it has built my heart, built the courage and the persistence of going forward. The perspective of many, a disability is a minus, but to me, it's a plus. I myself am HIV positive. I was born with the status like that. After like 1 year, I really get sick. So nilikuwa mgonjwa, and I had leukemia, I had TB, I had typhoid, all those sort of things. I was at the verge of my death. When we are disabled, actually it is an obstacle when we come to realistic. Growing up, my mama used to take me to therapy for a good 5 years. You can imagine carrying somebody who is already grown at the back for 5 years. It's been a challenge, first of all, the stigmatization back in school. When you're in the road, people tend to all the attention are to you. If it is playing, you know, there's that speed and all that. It's really difficult, even moving from this place to another. So it was kind of challenging, but we still keep going.
As Safaricom Foundation, our focus, particularly during this strategy period 2023 to 2026, is to support the young people to be gainfully employed. And the context is as follows. In this country, 75% of people are under the age of 35. So that clearly shows that we have a huge youth bulge.
This is one of a kind friend, because many people tend to drift away because they see this guy will not benefit me in any way. But she did not see me that way. We met at first at this support group for people who are positive. They gather together and see like this journey, I'm not walking alone.
So, niko na form ingine.
Aisee
bana nakwambia sijakupatia form. Form kuna hii staff initowezesha. So wanapeana free courses.
She's the one who informed me about Wezesha. And back then I had a very bad perspective on farm because as you know, in the farm there's a lot of physical work, digging, plowing, all that without using the machines.
The fact that 1 million young people get into the job market every year, and out of that, only about 100,000 get into formal employment. So we are working with partners to demonstrate that it is possible to go into farming, it is possible to make money, it is possible to have a livelihood that is sustainable, even in that environment.
Now the thing is, it's not just about the djembe, it's not just about taking the djembe or getting into the farm, working manually. There are many opportunities, and this is exactly what Wezesha provided for the youth. In technology, in some of these solar-based renewable energy solutions that are there that the youth can be able to tap into and engage.
Today we are going to learn about the solar-powered egg incubator.
We were told about the incubator.
You have to add water so that we can regulate the relative humidity as well as the temperature.
At first I didn't know about the incubator. I just knew that hiyo ni ya matajiri. So we came, tukafundishwa, and I saw the farm area in another perspective. So like I cannot go to the shamba, but I can use a machine to incubate chicks. There's no manual work there. It's just minor, like feeding them, of which that I'm fully capable of it. So it's really friendly to my disability. First of all, the knowledge of the incubator, it's them who gave me. And buying the incubator is quite a big amount of money. So like the Wezesha bought me that and they gave me the market because farmers came every Thursday. So they did all that and I'm really grateful. Hi.
Gilbert.
Hey, karibu, karibu. You see like this one is a female one, as you see the crown is shorter. And this one, you know, the economy of now, it's really tough. It's really tough. Even getting our food on the table, it's kind of challenging. So you find there's some things I'm able to buy in the house. I was able to purchase a decoder. I was able to purchase, even if it's an old model, but a television. And doing shopping there, and then we never lacked food. We have never slept hungry, you see. Actually, there was a day, she did not realize that I had that, but she was talking to her friends. And she said, sikuwa natarajia kama taondo atakuwa ananisaidia na pesa, like kufanya shopping, kama brother kona shida nalipa rent. And it really made me proud.
Investing in solar incubators and now being able to now track their business, now putting simple bookkeeping practices, builds their confidence, helps them now, help in their families, and also be able to, for them to even save for school and for college like they are. And I think that is something that is just admirable.
Actually, I was saving up because I'm not done with school. So my plan now, when I'll be going to school, I'll basically leave my mom and Jacinta to run the business while I'm studying. Yeah.
The success of this can then be replicated to 10 counties, and the target that we are looking at is that over a period of 3 years, 100,000 young people will have gone through that process. Let's call it an induction process. If we do not deal with this youth bulge and the employment crisis that we have, all of us are at risk. So it is good that we come together, work out on solutions so that these young people have a future and have a hope.
To the Safaricom Foundation, I'm really thankful. You have impacted the community in a margin that you could never imagine. It's a margin that you could never imagine. So like, I'm really grateful, and keep doing it. You are doing something. Your work is not in vain.
Bungoma, Western Kenya, Gideon was born into poverty and had few opportunities to make the most of his extraordinary talents. Join us as we witness his life-changing journey to the big city and the M-Pesa Foundation Academy, which gave him a second chance to not only help himself but his community back home. What you're about to see is a true story told by the real person and recreated by actors. This is Letters for Good.
My name is Gideon Wafula. I come from a very remote village of Bungoma, Western Kenya. I'm also a businessman and an entrepreneur. If I'm to describe my village, school kids are walking to school on barefoot. That was more of a norm to our village. And if you had a nice school uniform that is not in tatters, then you are a privileged one. There's a time we used to have one meal in a day. The few who are privileged would join the nearby high school. After that, they would ask their parents to give them that piece of land that their parents also have inherited. Maybe the lucky ones could sell those lands and get themselves a motorbike to fend for their families doing boda. Yeah. And personally, I remember when I was young, I wanted to work hard so that I could eat bread. At least because bread was one thing we could hardly have. I couldn't access the latest books. So I remember I used to go on my bicycle to a supermarket in Bungoma, and I would read on a Sunday. So when I go to school, I have crammed these new phrases that I would use in my composition, and so my composition would be very colorful.
Thank you. Let's clap for Gideon.
I never started looking outside of Bungoma. I was looking to just finish primary school, join the nearby high school where all my elder siblings were joining that school because my mom could negotiate with the principal.
Tukaona tuko na mahindi nyumbani, tukaona ni vizuri tulete, tusimamie kwa school fees.
My head teacher one day came with application forms for M-Pesa Foundation Academy. So that's when I started now seeing some hope. I started seeing different things. I started now imagining, how does Nairobi look like?
I think to me, when I look at the purpose of M-Pesa Foundation is to transform lives. And we transform the lives of Kenyans every day, everywhere. So the M-Pesa Foundation Academy was established in 2016, and the purpose of the academy is to create transformative leaders, to create future leaders for this country. So for the academy, you must come from a needy background. So we try to lift those who are at the base of the pyramid. So we strongly believe that if we take these children from their homes and just transform one child's life from this home, they'll be able to transform themselves, their communities, and the world at large.
Now things changed. I started seeing now different things. I now started associating myself with the M-Pesa shops that we could see around. I felt like even if this M-Pesa doesn't seem to be true, I've already achieved. I've already traveled out of the village and seen these big buildings.
Welcome to the academy.
Thank you. I could say it was a flip, a whole flip. From where I lived and from where we were. Even the beds where we used to sleep, that was different. The teachers were more friendly this time round, not like the teachers we knew who used to walk around with canes. So the school has that struggle of making you believe that yes, you are no longer that village boy who was walking in tattered shoes and playing football around the compound and that ball wrapped in papers and all that. That's one big thing that the academy did to me. First, changing my mentality and positioning me at a pedestal where I could see things differently and I could start envisioning bigger things.
Fulfilling what we wanted is to create leaders that will come back to Kenya and take up leadership roles within Kenya. They are aspirational. One kid at the first graduation ceremony that we had when they left, the previous president, Uhuru Kenyatta, was the guest of honor. He asked the kids to ask him some questions, and this one girl stood up and said, "I want to be the Chief Justice of Kenya. Can you give me a job?" Yeah? Chief Justice, not the lawyer, the Chief Justice. It's not just school, and it's not just classrooms, but there's clubs, there's, you know, in French, German, you have a farm, you know, there's all, and sports. I mean, one of the most amazing things was, you know, these kids come from a very, very different background to you and me. And some of them have never seen a swimming pool, can't swim. But, you know, these kids are winning swimming galas.
I now delved deep into volleyball, where we played up to regional finals. I also did athletics, where I went all the way to county finals. And we have these entrepreneurship trainings, which I really liked, every Thursday morning, very early in the morning. They would train us on how to come up with ideas. Then in the end, you'll be required to come up with an initiative or an idea. So the shoemaking business was a product of the entrepreneurship lessons. Most of the staff just had shoes in their houses, and they never repaired them, and they felt like they were still in good condition. They brought these shoes, and they were able to pay these fees. Even students, so many students brought their shoes for me to repair. There's actually some point where we were offered a tender by the school to make, I think, 50 pairs of shoes. So I think at the end, around Form 4, when we finished, I had made a profit of close to 67,000 Kenya shillings. And this was just work I used to do over the weekends. And remember, the same weekends, we used to go for contests and whatever. So I used to do only maybe 3 hours in the evening, including my team.
The Kenyan spirit of entrepreneurship has always been there. It's us now taking it, refining it, improving it, so that when our young people, someone like Gideon, leave here, go back to their communities, they can make that positive change. And an academy like ours really does take time in developing the innovation type skills, the business skills behind that, entrepreneurship, but all of that also links to leadership.
Gideon, coming from a rural background, he had not interacted with computer at all before. All our students get an opportunity to apply to various institutions, including Safaricom. And in the time that Gideon applied with others, he was among the few lucky ones to get an opportunity to intern at Safaricom. And in this case, Gideon was inclined towards computing and informatics.
So that's my idea. I don't know how it sounds. The opportunity at Safaricom, where I interned at EBU, Enterprise Business Unit, really opened my eyes. My vision is more of transforming the African perspective by coming up with innovative solutions. And so I had the urge to also understand Africa and using Kenya as my benchmark. So the inspiration to get into the ISP business, I want to provide cheap and affordable internet to people, you know. So I feel like if we open up the country first by giving people internet, that one would open up the psychology, and it would serve as a tool to educate people and ask the students to work hard and get to hit some limits that they never thought. Yeah. So the impact is huge, and the Safaricom should not stop. It has picked a lot of us from the ground up, and we are still going. It has given us, you know what, the most important thing is that that mentality. Once you get that mentality, I call it a rich mentality. You keep going. I would like to thank the M-Pesa Foundation for coming up with the M-Pesa Foundation Academy that has given me this opportunity to get to explore things I'd never imagined, to interact and meet with the who and who's of this nation.
I would like to have double the size. I would like the school to take people from a different walk of life, not all from disadvantaged backgrounds. I would like it to be seen not in 10 years' time, but in 5 years' time, as one of the premier leadership academies of Kenya. And not just seen in Kenya, but internationally. That's what I would like to see.
Bungoma, Western Kenya, Gideon was born into poverty and had few opportunities to make the most of his extraordinary talents. Join us as we witness his life-changing journey to the big city and the M-Pesa Foundation Academy, which gave him a second chance to not only help himself but his community back home. What you're about to see is a true story told by the real person and recreated by actors. This is Letters for Good.
My name is Gideon Wafula. I come from a very remote village of Bungoma, Western Kenya. I'm also a businessman and an entrepreneur. If I'm to describe my village, school kids are walking to school on barefoot. That was more of a norm to our village. And if you had a nice school uniform that is not in tatters, then you are a privileged one. There's a time we used to have one meal in a day. The few who are privileged would join the nearby high school. After that, they would ask their parents to give them that piece of land that their parents also have inherited. Maybe the lucky ones could sell those lands and get themselves a motorbike to fend for their families doing boda boda. Yeah. And personally, I remember when I was young, I wanted to work hard so that I could eat bread, at least because bread was one thing we could hardly have. I couldn't access the latest books. So I remember I used to go on my bicycle to a supermarket in Bungoma, and I would read on a Sunday. So when I go to school, I have crammed these new phrases that I would use in my composition, and so my composition would be very colorful.
Thank you. Let's clap for Gideon.
I never started looking outside of Bungoma. I was looking to just finish primary school, join the nearby high school where all my elder siblings were joining that school because my mom could negotiate with the principal.
Tukaona tuko na mahindi nyumbani, tukaona ni vizuri tulete, tusimamie kwa school fees.
My head teacher one day came with application forms for M-Pesa Foundation Academy. So that's when I started now seeing some hope. I started seeing different things. I started now imagining, how does Nairobi look like?
I think to me, when I look at the purpose of M-Pesa Foundation is to transform lives. And we transform the lives of Kenyans every day, everywhere. So the M-Pesa Foundation Academy was established in 2016, and the purpose of the academy is to create transformative leaders, to create future leaders for this country. So for the academy, you must come from a needy background. So we try to lift those who are at the base of the pyramid. So we strongly believe that if we take these children from their homes and just transform one child's life from this home, they'll be able to transform themselves, their communities, and the world at large.
Now things changed. I started seeing now different things. I now started associating myself with the M-Pesa shops that we could see around. I felt like even if this M-Pesa doesn't seem to be true, I've already achieved. I've already traveled out of the village and seen these big buildings.
Welcome to the academy.
Thank you.
I could say it was a flip, a whole flip from where I lived and from where we were. Even the beds where we used to sleep, that was different. The teachers were more friendly this time round, not like the teachers we knew who used to walk around with canes. So the school has that struggle of making you believe that yes, you are no longer that village boy who was walking in tattered shoes and playing football around the compound and that ball wrapped in papers and all that. That's one big thing that the academy did to me. First, changing my mentality and positioning me at a pedestal where I could see things differently and I could start envisioning bigger things.
You know, fulfilling what we wanted is to create leaders that will come back to Kenya and take up leadership roles within Kenya. They are aspirational. One kid at the first graduation ceremony that we had when they left, the previous president, Uhuru Kenyatta, was the guest of honor. He asked the kids to ask him some questions, and this one girl stood up and said, "I want to be the Chief Justice of Kenya. Can you give me a job?" Yeah? Chief Justice, not the lawyer, the Chief Justice, you know. It's not just school and it's not just classrooms, but there's clubs, there's, you know, in French, German, you have a farm, you know, there's all, and sports. I mean, one of the most amazing things was, you know, these kids come from a very, very different background to you and me. And some of them have never seen a swimming pool, can't swim. But, you know, these kids are winning swimming galas.
I now delved deep into volleyball, where we played up to regional finals. I also did athletics, where I went all the way to county finals. And we have these entrepreneurship trainings, which I really liked. Every Thursday morning, very early in the morning, they would train us on how to come up with ideas. Then in the end, you'll be required to come up with an initiative or an idea. So the shoemaking business was a product of the entrepreneurship lessons. Most of the staff just had shoes in their houses and they never repaired them and they felt like they were still in good condition. They brought these shoes and they were able to pay these fees. Even students, so many students brought their shoes for me to repair. There's actually some point where we were offered a tender by the school to make, I think, 50 pairs of shoes. So I think at the end, around Form 4, when we finished, I had made a profit of close to 67,000 Kenya shillings. And this was just work I used to do over the weekends. And remember, the same weekends, we used to go for contests and whatever. So I used to do only maybe 3 hours in the evening, including my team.
The Kenyan spirit of entrepreneurship has always been there. It's us now taking it, refining it, improving it, so that when our young people, someone like Gideon, leave here, go back to their communities, they can make that positive change. And an academy like ours really does take time in developing the innovation type skills, the business skills behind that, entrepreneurship, but all of that also links to leadership.
Gideon, coming from a rural background, he had not interacted with computer at all before. All our students get an opportunity to apply to various institutions, including Safaricom. And in the time that Gideon applied with others, he was among the few lucky ones to get an opportunity to intern at Safaricom. And in this case, Gideon was inclined towards computing and informatics.
So that's my idea. I don't know how it sounds. The opportunity at Safaricom, where I interned at EBU, Enterprise Business Unit, really opened my eyes. My vision is more of transforming the African perspective by coming up with innovative solutions. And so I had the urge to also understand Africa and using Kenya as my benchmark. So the inspiration to get into the ISP business, I want to provide cheap and affordable internet to people, you know. So I feel like if we open up the country first by giving people internet, that one would open up the psychology and it would serve as a tool to educate people and ask the students to work hard and get to hit some limits that they never thought. Yeah. So the impact is huge, and the Safaricom should not stop. It has picked a lot of us from the ground up, and we are still going. It has given us, you know what, the most important thing is that that mentality. Once you get that mentality, I call it a rich mentality. You keep going. I would like to thank the M-Pesa Foundation for coming up with the M-Pesa Foundation Academy that has given me this opportunity to get to explore things I'd never imagined, to interact and meet with the who and who's of this nation.
I would like to have double the size. I would like the school to take people from a different walk of life, not all from disadvantaged backgrounds. I would like it to be seen not in 10 years' time, but in 5 years' time, as one of the premier leadership academies of Kenya. And not just seen in Kenya, but internationally. That's what I would like to see.
Bungoma, Western Kenya, Gideon was born into poverty and had few opportunities to make the most of his extraordinary talents. Join us as we witness his life-changing journey to the big city and the M-Pesa Foundation Academy, which gave him a second chance to not only help himself but his community back home. What you're about to see is a true story told by the real person and recreated by actors. This is Letters for Good.
My name is Gideon Wafula. I come from a very remote village of Bungoma, Western Kenya. I'm also a businessman and an entrepreneur. If I'm to describe my village, school kids are walking to school on barefoot. That was more of a norm to our village. And if you had a nice school uniform that is not in tatters, then you are a privileged one. There's a time we used to have one meal in a day. The few who are privileged would join the nearby high school. After that, they would ask their parents to give them that piece of land that their parents also have inherited. Maybe the lucky ones could sell those lands and get themselves a motorbike to fend for their families doing boda boda. Yeah. And personally, I remember when I was young, I wanted to work hard so that I could eat bread, at least because bread was one thing we could hardly have. I couldn't access the latest books. So I remember I used to go on my bicycle to a supermarket in Bungoma, and I would read on a Sunday. So when I go to school, I have crammed these new phrases that I would use in my composition, and so my composition would be very colorful.
Thank you. Let's clap for Gideon.
I never started looking outside of Bungoma. I was looking to just finish primary school, join the nearby high school where all my elder siblings were joining that school because my mom could negotiate with the principal.
Tukaona tuko na mahindi nyumbani, tukaona ni vizuri tulete, tusimamie kwa school fees.
My head teacher one day came with application forms for M-Pesa Foundation Academy. So that's when I started now seeing some hope. I started seeing different things. I started now imagining, how does Nairobi look like?
I think to me, when I look at the purpose of M-Pesa Foundation is to transform lives. And we transform the lives of Kenyans every day, everywhere. So the M-Pesa Foundation Academy was established in 2016, and the purpose of the academy is to create transformative leaders, to create future leaders for this country. So for the academy, you must come from a needy background. So we try to lift those who are at the base of the pyramid. So we strongly believe that if we take these children from their homes and just transform one child's life from this home, they'll be able to transform themselves, their communities, and the world at large.
Now things changed. I started seeing now different things. I now started associating myself with the M-Pesa shops that we could see around. I felt like even if this M-Pesa doesn't seem to be true, I've already achieved. I've already traveled out of the village and seen these big buildings.
Welcome to the academy.
Thank you.
I could say it was a flip, a whole flip from where I lived and from where we were. Even the beds where we used to sleep, that was different. The teachers were more friendly this time round, not like the teachers we knew who used to walk around with canes. So the school has that struggle of making you believe that yes, you are no longer that village boy who was walking in tattered shoes and playing football around the compound and that ball wrapped in papers and all that. That's one big thing that the academy did to me. First, changing my mentality and positioning me at a pedestal where I could see things differently and I could start envisioning bigger things.
You know, fulfilling what we wanted is to create leaders that will come back to Kenya and take up leadership roles within Kenya. They are aspirational. One kid at the first graduation ceremony that we had when they left, the previous president, Uhuru Kenyatta, was the guest of honor. He asked the kids to ask him some questions, and this one girl stood up and said, "I want to be the Chief Justice of Kenya. Can you give me a job?" Yeah? Chief Justice, not a lawyer, the Chief Justice, you know. It's not just school, and it's not just classrooms, but there's clubs, there's in French, German, you have a farm, there's all at sports. I mean, one of the most amazing things was, these kids come from a very, very different background to you and me. And some of them have never seen a swimming pool, can't swim. But, these kids are winning swimming galas.
I now delved deep into volleyball, where we played up to regional finals. I also did athletics, where I went all the way to county finals. And we have these entrepreneurship trainings, which I really liked. Every Thursday morning, very early in the morning, they would train us on how to come up with ideas. Then in the end, you'll be required to come up with an initiative or an idea. So the shoemaking business was a product of the entrepreneurship lessons. Most of the staff just had shoes in their houses, and they never repaired them, and they felt like they were still in good condition. They brought these shoes, and they were able to pay these fees. Even students, so many students brought their shoes for me to repair. There's actually some point where we were offered a tender by the school to make, I think, 50 pairs of shoes. So I think at the end, around Form 4, when we finished, I had made a profit of close to 67,000 Kenya shillings. And this was just work I used to do over the weekends. And remember, the same weekends, we used to go for contests and whatever. So I used to do only maybe 3 hours in the evening, including my team.
The Kenyan spirit of entrepreneurship has always been there. It's us now taking it, refining it, improving it, so that when our young people, someone like Gideon, leave here, go back to their communities, they can make that positive change. And an academy like ours really does take time in developing the innovation type skills, the business skills behind that, entrepreneurship, but all of that also links to leadership.
Gideon, coming from a rural background, he had not interacted with computer at all before. All our students get an opportunity to apply to various institutions, including Safaricom. And in the time that Gideon applied with others, he was among the few lucky ones to get an opportunity to intern at Safaricom. And in this case, Gideon was inclined towards computing and informatics.
So that's my idea. I don't know how it sounds. The opportunity at Safaricom, where I interned at EBU, Enterprise Business Unit, really opened my eyes. My vision is more of transforming the African perspective by coming up with innovative solutions. And so I had the urge to also understand Africa and using Kenya as my benchmark. So the inspiration to get into the ISP business, I want to provide cheap and affordable internet to people, So I feel like if we open up the country first by giving people internet, that one would open up the psychology, and it would serve as a tool to educate people and ask the students to work hard and get to hit some limits that they never thought. Yeah. So the impact is huge, and the Safaricom should not stop. It has picked a lot of us from the ground up, and we are still going. It has given us, the most important thing is that that mentality. Once you get that mentality, I call it a rich mentality. You keep going. I would like to thank the M-Pesa Foundation for coming up with the M-Pesa Foundation Academy that has given me this opportunity to get to explore things I'd never imagined, to interact and meet with the who and who's of this nation.
I would like to have double the size. I would like the school to take people from a different walk of life, not all from disadvantaged backgrounds. I would like it to be seen not in 10 years' time, but in 5 years' time, as one of the premier leadership academies of Kenya. And not just seen in Kenya, but internationally. That's what I would like to see.
Tell you something. So I can see people are still trying to get which tables they're on, which groups are they in. Please refer to the emails that you Sana to the AI Experts Conference 2024. I want to check how many we are online. Let me see. We have about 120 participants. Let me see if there are any comments, chats. Right, Asila, I know you, you're from the AI tribe. Thank you so much, you're dialing in from Kakamega, that's in Kenya. Karibu sana, and I hope you're enjoying this session. For all our 120 participants who are joining us online, Karibu sana to this event. I really want to know which Vodacom market you're representing. So please drop on the chat or on the comment section, hashtag the market you're coming from, and give us a hello in your local language. Give us a hello so that we can also have conversations with you guys. Let me tell you, we are all in here together. We are about 100 in here, and it's bustling with so much energy. Guys are ready to hack away in this events conference. Okay, now for my colleagues in the room, I know we had welcomed every one of you, but I really want to know which markets are represented. Anyone from Tanzania? Any colleagues from Tanzania? Please stand, let's see you. Let's see you. And just say, hey. Hi, warm welcome to the guys, our guys from Tanzania. Anyone from Lesotho? Please stand so that we can see you, or you can wave. Oh, she's hacking away, that's what she's telling. Okay, hi there. Anyone from Joburg? SA? Please stand. Oh! Look at you guys, love the energy. Shout out to you guys. Anyone from Kenya? Kenya, oh yes. Joburg guys, you have competition there. So the energy is real from each one of you. Okay, I want to continue with the same spirit. One of the things we do at Safaricom is check how are you guys doing. So please join me on this platform that we usually engage with our colleagues and friends in Safaricom. So join me on the menti.com, and I'll share this on the screen in a little bit. So join me on menti.com. This will be showing you just now. Menti.com, I can see it's online. So please pull out your phones. Please pull out your phones. Go to www.menti.com. Go to www.menti.com. Enter the code 6135-9552. It's right here on the screen. It's come up. You can scan the QR code real quick. Please join me on this menti.com platform. This is where we'll interact with you, and I'll ask you some fun couple of questions so that we can get psyched up for what's going to happen in the next few minutes. So go to menti.com, enter the code 6135-9552. I can see already, guys. Bernard Mutune, Uvo Wenyu, joining from Nairobi, Kenya. Karibu sana. We have somebody from Vodacom South Africa, Sydney Zwane. Karibu sana. I have your friends all here at Michael Joseph Center. You are well represented. We have Nkateko. I'm really sorry if I'm butchering. Nkateko, welcome as well. Joe Kanywa Mkwaje lakini locked in from Nairobi. You are well represented. Asante sana. So head over to menti.com, enter the code 6135-9552, and let's get to the questions. Very simple questions. I know all of you are experts and you're used to technical questions, but this is a fun interactive session before we get into the meat of the matter. John Owino Karibu from Ngong, I see you. Ole Polos in Nairobi, I see you. Okay, let's have the questions on the screen. Using your favorite song, describe how you're feeling today. This will be interesting. Using your favorite song, describe how you're feeling today. Don't think too much about it. Using your favorite song. Please describe how you're... Okay, beautiful things. I don't know that song. Anguka Nayo is a famous song in Kenya. I'm sure all of you have heard about it. And I know Peter said he doesn't know how the nightlife is, but Anguka Nayo is a really nice song for the guys who enjoy the nightlife. Everglow. Okay, My African Dream. Can we have somebody just sing one of these songs, please? So that we just get the gist of how you're feeling. Any volunteer, any bold volunteer, Over the Moon, Jerusalem, Kufinish Kumalo. All these are my friends from Nairobi. Dancing on the Ceiling. I want to know any South African song. Anyone who's written a South African song probably would tell us how they're feeling. Anyone in the room? Okay. Rolling in the Deep. I like that. Feeling like a champion. I like that. Jesus Does. I Feel Good. Dunda. Game Changer. All of you are feeling blessed. I like it. One day at a time. I'm trying to sing, but no, I will not. Awesome. Let's get to the second question. What is your expectation from these sessions? What is your expectations from these sessions? Real quickly, what are your expectations? Okay, so budget. You want to know how much budget you have so that you can know which areas to focus on? Learn and collaborate, very important. That's one of the key takeaways that we have been challenged today as well by Peter. Network and be fluent in Swahili from South Africans. Who has written that? I like that. Oh, I love it. I love it. Do you know any Swahili word? Okay. Have you picked any? Asante. He says he knows Asante. So we're doing well. Shout out to you guys from Nairobi. To network, of course. Learn from other AI experts. AI, can we create our own? ... I like that. Can we create on our own? That's the challenge. Learning from others to learn more about IA. From AI, learn new AI solutions that are aimed at addressing problems. Reason why we are also here to love. Who's that? Is it looking for love or to love one another? It's somebody saying it's not a bad idea. Who am I? Who am I to take away that expectation from you? Gain inspiration and get to rub minds with our Safaricom colleagues to be entertained. All right, you're in the right place, my sister or brother. All right, to grow, and I love this, I think we're all here for the same expectations, to challenge each other as well as to collaborate. And I like that's where you're going. All right. Before I call upon our first speaker, our thought leader and our expert, I have a question for you guys. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? Okay, there are no wrong answers. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? They came together. This side, chicken or the egg? Chicken. Oh, they're trying to ask AI. This side, I'm seeing guys trying to chat GPT. You know, the reason the chicken, listen, the egg was in the chicken. So they came together. We'll see. But the reason why I'm asking that is, when I think about technology and the customers, right, I see a lot of organizations who have invested heavily on technology, but forget that the customer is at the heart of their business, right? And I think we Actually, what I'm reminded of is Steve Jobs' quote on customer obsession. He said, you've got to start with a customer experience and then work backwards to technology. Right? Are we in agreement? Maybe? Yes? Anyway, I think, ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce the director of customer obsession, who is an expert on customers, and she'll be letting us know if Steve Jobs was right. Yeah, maybe we're advancing too fast for our customers. I don't know. But Lucille Aveva, please give her a warm welcome as she comes onto the stage. Yeah, please put her favorite song.
My AI is missing. Okay, there we go. Good morning, everyone. Don't we just love our MC? Can we give it up for Victoria? So there are two sources of energy, either the latte station or just plug into some Victoria. So thank you so much, and thank you colleagues from coming from all over the continent to join us for the second AI Experts Conference. And we're really honored and really pleased, Charlotte and team, that we're honoring this. Because they say Kenya is the home of champions. Kenya is the home of experts. And Peter said that he's not an AI expert, but there is 94% of us in this company who are AI expert critics. Why do I say that? You heard Peter talk about us doing 2+1, and as you came into our reception, you must have seen our future skills, yeah, that had 13 skills, and the top 3. I'm certified. Nyokabi is not here. I'm certified because it was a certified course. So AI 101, HCD. Agile, and that makes us AI expert critics in terms of collaboration. So the first slide was actually about delivering superior customer experience. If we could go back to that so that we can start looking at why we are doing this. So we've just done our vision for 2030, and our family, one of our imperatives is about delivering superior customer experience as a key differentiator. And as AI experts in the room, I am sure you know all the models you build, create with us in collaboration are truly groundbreaking and can truly then deliver experience as a key differentiator. One thing in Safaricom, the way we define our customers is very broad. So we've got our internal customers, and Victoria did ask, is it the technology that came first or the people? And as I said, the chicken came with the egg. The customers come with the issues, and therefore we must use the technology to unpack that. So we've got our internal customers. We start internally first. And we've just celebrated the Customer Service Week last week, and Happy Customer Obsession Month. In Safaricom, we do things differently. Yeah? So the whole month is Customer Obsession Month. And it was about elevating employee experience for, who remembers Customer Service Week? The Kenyans, elevating employee experience for customer experience success. You cannot have customer experience success if it doesn't start internally. So we start with our internal customers. Then we've got the partners who are part of our ecosystem. They're part of our internal customers, but by extension. So those are our key customers. And we are all in service of the external customers, whether it's the individual customers or government, as you heard from Peter. So that's family in our vision 2030, and I'll be speaking towards that in terms of why. If we can move on. Beyond now just having that in our strategy papers, reciting it, chanting it, and in what you do every day. In Safaricom, we've built a customer-obsessed culture, to the point where my job was created as Customer Obsession Director. Not customer experience, not customer service, but customer obsession, because it starts with the culture. And we are guided by 4 spirits of Safaricom. You had Peter talk about being purpose-led. And our vision is to be Africa's leading purpose-led tech core. Why Africa? Well, we've got one Elon Musk doing incredible stuff, and I'm sure with AI. So we leave the global one for him, but Africa, we take that. And the reason we are doing this is so that we build a customer-obsessed organization. And Victoria gave us a quote. We start with the customer and work backwards. So when we say we are notoriously customer-obsessed, it means just that. Have we built an organization culture where everybody starts with the customer, irrespective of what they're doing, internal and external, now that you know the definition? And we can only do that in collaboration. And therefore, one of our spirit elements is getting together and getting it done together in collaboration for the customer and innovating. So innovation is a key part that brings us together. And I can tell you, Charlotte and team, whenever we start conversations around AI, you do not need espresso. The buzz you get. Don't you just love your jobs? Just in terms of the stuff that you can do. And that's how we feel about AI and big data analytics. It must be insights-led. It must be customer-led. It must be segment-led. And therefore, we innovate for the customer. So if we then think about why, the why of this, we need AI back in there. Or I get a clicker. So the reason we think about this and why we shaped our customer vision for Safaricom is because we looked at what is shaping customer experience evolution. And there are 5 things that we picked. 1, smart technology, isn't it? That has truly, truly evolved. But our customers don't use digital. They are digital by nature. How many have seen kids pick up a video game and play it? They can't speak, they can't walk, they can't talk. But they can beat you at a game. Because it's intuitive. So by nature, our customers are digital. They are not using digital. Secondly, with the dopamine rush that's been brought about by technology. So while I've called out AR and VR, because this is really where I want to get our customers to experience immersive journeys, gamifying the journeys. Of course, there's hyper-personalization, but everybody is talking about experiential centers. Apple does not sell devices. It sells an experience. And you can walk into that store because it looks cool, but let me tell you, by the time you walk out of there, you bought something that you didn't even think you needed, but you realize, oh my God, I could use that. So it's immersive technology is really going to shape the way CX evolves into the future. But in a world that's increasingly growing with good users of tech and bad users of tech, we talk about cybersecurity, because for every good there is somebody who's using it for bad. And therefore, we as a service provider, and the land where 96% of our customers, 30-day active, are on M-Pesa, that's linked to their bank wallets. It is now, how can I get a Safaricom SIM card to access somebody's bank? So when we deal with SIM swaps here, it's not just about the youth who lose their devices every weekend, but it's because there is a real need for people to hack into people's systems and platforms. And therefore, digital trust has evolved the way we relate with our customers. Now we are talking about multi-factor authentication, OTP, but in the background, know your customer is something completely different, isn't it? Biometrics, authenticating patterns and saying, no, but this seems to be off pattern for this particular person. It surely cannot be them. And therefore, the adoption of our products, no matter how risky, the uptake will never cease, because once we build in digital elements that protect the customers, and you'll see what my mission is, it's about worry-free, then we must build our products, our services, our journeys with digital trust in mind. The third thing that's also changing is the way people engage in the digital age, and the way they engage with companies, and the way we engage with each other. So customers don't want to engage with a loyalty company. I will provide you 50 MB to use for data if you do ABCDE. Now we speak about hyper-personalization. The customer says, know me, delight me, and ensure that you serve me. And that can only happen if we leverage big data, because AI and data go hand in hand, isn't it? And know the customers and do that. But finally, the evolution and the way organizations are structured. You had Peter talking about Agile, and he stayed firm with Agile, and today we reap the benefits. So we'll keep saying, no, we don't work in a waterfall organization. We work in an Agile organization. And I can tell you, when I joined the organization 3 years ago, when Agile, we had the front runner Agile people, and you've got the tech guys going to join commercial, potentially it would be trouble. But what happens, you know, the things that you grapple with in a waterfall organization, let's say you're in the consumer business organization, you have to channel stuff to be done by the tech people. Now Agile is about backlogs, prioritizing. Then you've got these tech guys who come in and actually see the commercial world and say, you mean this was your problem? And you know, you tech is, or AI, sorry, powering our tech guys, come up with solutions like you're writing code. No, this is very easy to solve. And you know, in a second that has gone. Now, the beauty of Agile, that cross-pollination is happening in squads. And we've elevated it a notch higher by this year, getting 94% of the employee base being certified. I'll walk around with you, along with you guys as peers. I am an expert AI 101. And what our CEO didn't say, he was recently given an honorary degree and he's also gotten a presidential award. So we call him Mr. Peter Ndegwa, no, Dr. Peter Ndegwa, CBS. Yeah, it's an honor given by the president. Now, Nyokabi has just walked in on time. So Nyokabi, my credentials are Lucilla Veva, EK7809, AI 101, experts. Oh, expert Lucilla, I'll start with expert. So that's how the CX evolution is driving why we are really passionate about AI, big data analytics, to the point that it's now a tribe. If we go to the next one. So we've talked about the customer being digital, and we've talked about the organization having to be digital, and we've talked about delivering superior customer experience as a key differentiator. But how does that come to be realized in an organization? And you had Peter saying he will invest in AI, but provided that there is proof of benefits. So if we link what those capabilities can do for us in a digital age, they're primarily 4 things. And of course, what gets measured gets delivered. So first, it has to be digital-led employee experience and customer experience. So we've talked about ensuring our customers, our employees are equipped with digital applications. So our different tribes, we have a tribe called the customer enablement. They're always building platforms to enable our dealers self-serve. They're looking at single view of customer, which stops the agents from toggling 14 care center in your different organizations. The frontline team and our partners have to toggle very many systems. And therefore building one interface called the single view of customer, and of course the various models that you have powering that, from detractor management, propensity to churn, understanding who this customer is about equipping our frontline with applications. The second thing, in a world that simply does not have time, in a world that's doing a lot more, we must always talk about automation. And therefore we say, how can we automate that process? How can we simplify that process? For the partner, for the customers, and for our own employees. And the measures of that from a CX world at the touch points. If it's digital touch points, is it seamless? Is it exciting? Is it giving a dopamine rush, or they have to go through a lot of text? Is Zuri jumping up there, greeting them and personalized? Is Gen AI really enabling the customer to explore the different channels we have? So we must ensure that there's automation. Third, with all this data, When we say we know our customers, we know our partners, we know what is driving the future. We cannot talk about big data and AI without talking about predictive models. Because that is what will demonstrate to the customers we know them, we can delight them, and we can preempt some of those challenges that they face. So resolving challenges before they happen is really critical for us. And our network team go with the promise, and you had it said earlier, of no need to call. In many places, in many organizations, when you talk about CX, we're talking about the call center. In Safaricom, we're talking about upstream first. Fix it before it happens. And therefore, we can only do that with predictive models. Finally, because we have all these things and the capabilities that have been built, in order to delight our customers, in order to make sure that things are working, we must be proactive. We must be proactive. How many here have conversations with Siri or Alexa? You've got your own digital twin. You know, with AI, guys, you have to be very careful. You've got your digital twin. But you know what it is? It's about being proactive. If you're driving along the road, the reason we use GPS is because first, we want to be sure of where we're going to. Secondly, I want to make sure I'm looking at the road. But I've got the Google Maps telling me ahead of time what I need to be doing. And those are different use cases that we can that AI and big data analytics have been applied. The reason we're able to know that there is traffic, and therefore you're given 3 potential routes, this is proactive planning, is because real time, it's measuring where do we tend to see where the traffic jam is. Using that analogy, bring it back to the workplace. What is it that we can do proactively to ensure that we are wowing the customers with information? So CVM before was about a database of customers that we need to target to upsell something to. Proactive is where we see a customer is running low on resources without bombarding them with any other products. We know what the customer usage is, what their spend is, where it is that they use the resources, and proactively we can give them a wow offer. If we move to the next, then now it starts coming close to life. So let's come now to the customer, the ones we are in service for, the only one that brings money in the room, as we say. The bar for delivering great CX is really high. With YouTube, everybody is also an AI expert, isn't it? But the consumption and the things we can do fueled by automation and the digital age is so high. And therefore, friction in any journey is really what's fueling us to ensure that we build AI 100% customer journeys that are world-class, that are AI and ML powered. So in a customer-obsessed organization, we always think from the customer mindset. So even our journeys, we look at them with a customer intent. And what we have committed to, shifting from the typical customer pains, the static IVR, for instance, that robot that doesn't understand me. Because we actually have customers that try to speak to the static IVR, the issue-based IVR. Hello, yes, Safaricom, yes, it's me. Of course, that thing is not going to answer back. And therefore, we've built things like Smart IVR and the NLP AI-powered IVR. When the customer talks about identifying themselves, it's very complex. I think for those who have listened to your calls in your different markets, a customer trying to do a SIM swap, I don't know if it's the same as here, you literally have to bring your DNA. And you cannot be everywhere. But with the big data analytics that we sit on, and with the models that we've built, and understanding the customer not from a SIM card ID. You know, that's what telcos do very poorly. The banks, I am sure, when you go into your mobile application, you can see all your different accounts, yeah? And they know you by name, not current account number or fixed deposit or whatever it is. So this is where we are shifting to in terms of the capability of us understanding our customers at a global level. Therefore, Everything we are talking about, how do they discover the products we have? We're talking about recommender models. Let me try and speak your language now. Recommender models. Let me show off a little bit the things I steal from Kevin, Charlotte, and the team, and of course the lessons we have. But we are also talking about integration. We are now able to integrate in terms of what is the best fit for the customer across the different offers we have across the different businesses. So in our case, the consumer offers, which is the typical GSM, SMS, data, voice, adding in there M-Pesa offers, adding in there because we realize this is an individual who's running a small business, and therefore what is it that they can get from SME offers? But how does the customer get to discover that? Not reading through pages and pages of text in our websites, but recommendations, so Gen AI. Building experiential centers. We have built the first outlet in Kenya that's serving both businesses as well as consumer customers. And if you have time, visit easily the BBS Mall. And I think I saw Cynthia walking, so shout out. Everybody here is very customer obsessed. We cannot have only shops that serve consumers, it's just queues and a QMS about problem solving. It must be experiential. And let me tell you, it's different. From private booths, it looks like a workplace. For those from South Africa, if you've gone to Regis, you know the booths where you have private conversations with the person who's trying to sell you, or you could just be sitting there, waiting for your turn to be served, to a section where you can hold master classes. We've completely broken the mold of what a typical outlet should be. It's fully experiential. We've talked about integrated offers, and when the customer now is beginning to use our products and services, it's not just about the use of the product, but the experience. So even how they experience our network. And you'll hear from Kevin, I think, and Charlotte later on. We know and we can tell what device the customer has. We know and we can tell that the customer will have the best experience of our network if they get onto a 4G or 5G device. And maybe they already have a 4G or a 5G device, but they bought it because they think they bought it for the camera, they're posting things on TikTok, but what more can it do for them in terms of apps and the experience that we have? So models that tell us which customer to migrate where. But beyond that is they have a smart device, but their SIM card, because they're so loyal to Safaricom, is the original SIM card. It still works, but it was a 2G or a 3G SIM card, for instance. So they're not getting the best experience that they could get. And therefore, models that help us to ensure that customers are migrated, interact with our digital channels, get the best of our tech capabilities. Support digital, DIY. And it's getting the teams to understand we're not pushing the customers out of our typical service areas. Let's ensure there's no need to call, but come in and experience what more you could get from us. In the era of IoT, imagine a shop where I'm a customer, I want to build a house, but what are some of the smart tech? So in our home offers, what are some of the things that you can use that are powered by IoT? So we've got clocks that behind is cameras for security. There are things that we offer the customer. There are the home routers. There are all the things that you can put into the smart home as an example. Finally, remember this is the customer language, I want to leave. We never allow them to leave because if the experience is good, there's always something that suits you. Therefore, the hyper recommendation, the loyalty that is goal-based, we understand what this customer wants. We know data from M-Pesa that they are saving to buy a house, a car. Because remember, you asked those questions. Do you ever use those insights? So build models that takes advantage of that insight to hyper-personalize the recommendation we give customer. So that is what is really fueling our adoption of AI in a big way and ensuring everybody across the organization had to compulsory training they were certified in. AI 101 and human-centered design. Because when you combine those two, then you are truly building for the customer. So if we move to the next one. So our CX transformation from, in terms of my strategy and going into 2030, is really about ensuring that we focus everything to deliver on our aspiration and our ambition. And I think that was one of the last things Peter talked about when he left the room. And our aspiration is to be the benchmark for customer experience in Africa. In Kenya, we do bold things. I mean, we've got people like Eliud Kipchoge, Faith Kipyegon, you know, all these guys, surely Safaricom. We have already got an M-Pesa legacy. We must take also the other one in terms of experience. And experience includes our brand experience. We cannot build such an iconic brand over the years and not be the best in it. And on my left is Zizwe, who's our brand and marketing director, and doing incredible things now about shifting the way we are seen to be a purpose-led tech company. So we therefore, in order to deliver that, it must be about the end-to-end journeys, whether it is how we treat our suppliers, how we treat our partners who help us in terms of taking the services close to our customers, our own teams. We cannot have a vision that says purpose-led tech company, but everything around you is full of paper. It is not digital. It is full of friction, nothing but what our vision says. So it must be demonstrated. And this we are looking at by ensuring we are building and embedding design thinking in everything that we do. We are looking at new technologies that fuel this vision and ambition. And finally, we are leveraging big data and analytics. You hear of customers saying, but you guys have been with you for 6 years. Why are you still asking me for my ID? I keep buying products every month. Why do I have to prove I'm the owner of this place? It's because the journeys or the processes are not built with the customer in mind, leveraging data we already have. Finally, if that's the vision, that's the ambition, we must enable it. And how do we enable it? We build capabilities. First, everyone is certified. AI Expert 101, we must bring predictive customer experience measurements. And we must then ensure that it's journey focused in terms of the governance. And this is what my team does. Whether we are building CX gates, whether we are going into an area and reading the data they're looking at with a customer lens. I'll give 2 examples of the typical way we would take action in an organization that's not insights, data, and customer-led versus one that is. How many of you are involved in building models for smart network planning in your countries? Well, that's for the network guys. Now, here in Kenya, everything starts with data, understanding that data, interpreting that data, building models so that we are predictive and proactive. I'll give you an example, bringing CX as is understood in many countries, starting with the customer complaints, versus what big data and data analytics does for us in terms of ensuring we are addressing the right issue. Very typical, and you probably have it in your countries, so you may want to go and help your network and business colleagues. Customers keep complaining about the network is bad, the network is poor, right? Isn't it? Typically, what would we do? Fix the network. Okay? We fix the network by doing what? Rolling out more CapEx. So what if I told you, if you leverage big data, it's not always about the network? And I'll give you a live example. So we've got an app where our customers send through network challenges that they have that sits with our service operating center. And they'll say anything from, because we see it on social media. These days your network is crap from, it used to be good nights, call drops, hear crackling sound, all those descriptions of poor network. So the network guys typically would then start doing what? Optimizing. Any network guys here, I saw Duncan earlier. Optimizing, and there's an argument that ensues. Do you have that in your country? No, but all the metrics are showing a healthy network. What are you guys talking about? But we also came to some revelation, similar exercise, service operating center. Let's look at the statistics we have on this Mtandao app of the customers that have complained about the network. Because the noise was just too much, and after referring, you say, okay, let's look at the data. What is the data showing us? And let me tell you what we discovered. So of course, we saw from regions, you start, eliminating. Is it a specific region? No, it seems to be countrywide, okay? But the last 3 months was Greater Western. Okay, so maybe we have a problem there. They usually say the network is not enough. So what are the different types of network issues that they're facing? And we look at it, it's those things, call drops, crackling sound, call setup success rate failures. Some it's in terms of internet, they're not able to connect to it. So 2 things emerged. One, when we started looking at the device types that the customers are using, we discovered it's an OEM issue. For the majority that complained of poor connectivity and suddenly your network is a problem, ITEL. So if you have ITEL in your country, yes, it's low cost, yes, it's really being pushed in the market, but if it is anything like ours, it does not operate in the right band for customers to experience a network well. So when they say suddenly these days, and then you start correlating it with the data, say, of Greater Western, now you start making the commercial evaluations. Yeah, there was a low-cost device activation in that particular region. Yes, this customer has been with us for this period of time, and when they say these days, it started from the moment they took the low-cost device. But what does big data, AI, and hyper recommendation do for us in such an instance? Now that you know what the problem statement is, we can already look at these customers, target them with offers to get devices that work, and save CapEx and arguments and relationships in the business. The second one that we also learned is every time people talked about the indoor problem, indoor coverage problem, network issues, there's something else that was also manifesting. As items have become plug and play, customers are able to buy repeaters and extenders and put them indoor themselves. They don't need to call a telco, they buy it. But it jams the frequency of the network, especially those that are not sold by the network providers themselves. So while you fixed your own problem in your own house, what are the guys in the neighborhood saying? Safaricom these days, their network is terrible, we used to be okay, etc., etc. But the problem was once you start understanding data. So those are just two very good examples in terms of how you can use that. So our commitment is by 2027, 3 things. It must make sense. Remember, we're told investment will be made if it makes also commercial sense but fixes the customer issues. So NPS, and in NPS, when you say NPS #1 in Kenya, it's not just NPS for the sake of. My fellow colleagues, I've seen NPS #1 at 18 points. We have to be the best at what we do, incredibly the best. So we're talking about the shift in NPS. We're talking about our employee capability, ready, willing, and able. So the mindset is there. We built a culture. We give them the tool sets in terms of the different platforms and models that we create. And finally, we also ensure that their skill set is developed, and you heard us talking about 2+1. But where it will show, we can monetize better, and productivity will be much better. So I'm close to finishing. If we go to the next one, now how it comes to life. This is me smiling for the pictures. But on a typical day, the smile may not be there. It's the passion and in terms of the commitments of what we do. And my mission is to ensure a worry-free, digital-first customer experience in order to embed customer-first tech capabilities. You heard that speaking from Peter earlier. Because we are fully aligned from the CEO to every single level of the organization. So that's my mission that feeds off of his mission. And his mission is to embed customer-first tech capabilities because his vision is to lead us to be Africa's leading purpose-led tech company by 2030. And our purpose, the reason we are here, is to transform lives. Even when we say we are partnering with government, it's for in service of the citizens of Kenya. Finally, bragging rights for our AI team, the last slide. Let me test if these guys are good at CX. In your countries, have you heard of something called the 10 points? Yes. Which country is that? South Africa. Home of 10 points. Who else has 10 points in their country? And what is it about? Lesotho. You have 10 points. Who owns it? CX. Another one? Who has 10 points? When you build a customer-obsessed culture, it means every single part of the organization can see the role they play. And our 10 points is owned across the business. But beyond that, each of the points has what? AI enablement. So we don't just talk about it for the sake of talking about it. It's integrated in every single thing they do. So my ask is when you go back home, CX, two things to take away from here. CX is not about a department. That's downstream. Those are our customer touch points. CX is what we do as a company for our internal customers, our external customers, and our partner ecosystem. And if you look at the use cases across the customer commitments, you will see here what we are doing internally, ensuring that our HR policies, recruitments are automated. It's in service for internal customers. If you look at frontline enablement, the models we are building. So guys, CX, if you get nothing from Kenya, CX should be the culture in the organization, powered by Gen AI and big data analytics. Thank you very much, and karibuni sana. You want Q&A?
Thank you. Sorry?
Q&A?
Yeah. Yes, why not?
Okay, we'll take a couple of questions.
Any questions from the room? Let me check if there are any online.
And there'll be an exam. How can AI help CIPSWO?
Forget.
Thanks, it was really good and insightful and inspiring. So on the one slide you had those 4 points, and around the fourth one was around proactive.
The second slide.
Yeah, that on the proactive. So like in some of the markets we've worked, we've kind of implemented some of these proactive measures, which I think is great, and like the idea of self-healing, so the network kind of heals itself and that type of thing. The one thing and just want to get your opinion on this, is always like trying to find that balance between when do we communicate this with the customer, as opposed to just doing it in the background and just fixing and they don't know about it. And yeah, just that balance, just to get your views, please.
Very good one. So let's stop at this slide because it will help me respond.
That should be working.
Okay. Let me respond from here. Sorry.
Okay.
So very good provocation, because sometimes we get ahead of ourselves and think, oh, it's in service of the customer, let's do it. And therefore, you heard us talk about one thing, hyper-personalization, because we've learned about what the customer wants. But the first rule that's a non-negotiable standard, and it's in our first commitment there, opt-in. But we also have seen where our commercial teams build products that's one way in. You cannot get out. So the other non-negotiable standard, the customer must opt out. So to your point, when you talk about the recommender and hyper-personalization and presenting to the customer options, it's one, simplifying it, ensuring that they are able to see what fits them, because we've learned and studied huge amounts of data, where they live, where they spend their money. On M-Pesa, it can tell us a lot of things about them. But ultimately, the customer chooses. Secondly, the capabilities we build ensure that we protect that. We've got fraud models that are built to ensure that. We've got data protection that are built to protect the customers. These are the things we do without the customer's consent because it's in service of the customer. We mask their data to ensure that we protect their identity, but anything that's done for the customer, for instance, upgrading devices. There's always excitement of let's migrate, all the 2G phones to 3G capable phones to 4G. Customer education is key. The example I gave where a customer bought a device because it takes brilliant photos, I moved them to a 5G super highway. Suddenly their spend will go beyond what they thought they're willing to spend. But what are the tools that are also built to protect the customer even when they consent? A data management tool. They're able to slow down speeds. They're able to put a limit to how much they're able to spend, and they're also able to see detailed breakdown of where their data was spent. So customer must consent.
All right. Thank you so much, Lucille, for that presentation. Please, a round of applause for her. I can assure you, AI cannot do that. Can't help you down the stairs. We still need some humanity in it, don't we? Okay, thank you so much. Another round of applause, please, for her. And she has rightfully put it. Customer service is a department in an organization. Customer experience proceeds beyond that department. It goes to each and every person, starting from the chief all the way down. Asante sana, Lucille, for that. Up next, we do have our Chief Human Resource Officer in the room from Safaricom, Nyokabi. I don't know if you can join me on stage and just say hi to everybody as you give us a few remarks. Thank you so much. Please, a warm welcome to Nyokabi, our CHRO from Safaricom.
Thank you very much, Wangeshi. Good morning, everyone. Before I start, I just want to check whether Matimba is online. I know Matimba and I were considering doing this as a double act. Not anymore. Okay. Thank you. That gives me an extra few minutes with you, which is great. So today I want to share with you about an exciting piece of work we are doing, and I think you all, at least the Kenya team, you all know about it, that we are doing to democratize AI at Safaricom. Like Peter said, I am far from an AI expert. I am AI certified like Lucille. Lucille, are you still here? Yes, so that those initials you are adding, let's add them to my name as well. But importantly, it's our aspiration this year to empower and enable every single one of us in the organization to become tech fluent. And the reason we are doing that is because we appreciate by making AI tools and knowledge accessible and available to everybody, then we are able to spark innovation, catalyze diverse thinking, spark innovation in the organization, which will enable us develop those solutions that truly impact our society. My name is Nyokabi. I'm the Chief HR Officer. Been in the organization for close to 7 months now. It's amazing how quickly time flies. If we go back to the conversation with Peter this morning, his mission and our vision as an organization is to become Africa's Africa's leading purpose-led technology company by 2030. And as we were reflecting this year in HR, how do we enable that? How do we enable this organization to become a leading technology company to the likes of Google, perhaps, AWS, known for real transformative technology. And the commitment we made is that we are going to accelerate future skills and capabilities in the organization. And then we sat back and said, wait a minute, those organizations that we are benchmarking against, what is the landscape of their skill set? How do they look like? And we worked with external partners and came to appreciate that in those organizations, 65% of their workforce are actually tech experts. And we then said we are going to top that, aim for the 65% tech expertise over time, of course, not overnight, but importantly, aim for 100% tech fluency. And with tech fluency, we are talking about creating an environment where people are no longer terrified of, the complexity of technology. People are no longer wondering what is AI and how can AI help them transform their lives in the first place, as well as transform those of the organization. So we then put that together as a strategy and said, what are we aiming to achieve? Democratize access to technology across Safaricom, okay, and build that culture where people are comfortable and able to play and work with technology. Why do we need to do that? Because we would like technology to become, people to partner with technology at a functional, operational level in our day-to-day work, because every single one of us understands best the opportunities that exist to automate, to digitize, to provide better quality, more impactful solutions to our customers, both internal and external. We understand that best because we are the ones who engage with customers and we know what they need. So you can imagine the capability we shall unlock in the organization if every one of the 6,000 strong green army, as we call ourselves in Safaricom, is able to transform that opportunity they see into a solution that enables us lift the CX outcomes, customer experience outcomes that Lucy was talking about a moment ago. And if you could please move to the next slide. Thank you. I'll continue as they move to the slide. And then we said, but how do we do that? And one way that we've been working on is the 2+1 you've heard about. So this year we've committed that everybody undertakes two tech-related skills. And those skills could be anything from AI, cloud computing. We've identified 14 key skills that are future-focused. Cloud computing, big data and insights. What else can I think of? Cyber security. But we also said, out of those two, one must be in AI. So the whole organization, depending on our level of understanding and fluency, this year we committed to build our capability in AI. And then the second skill would be in another tech area. And like Peter explained, the third skill would be in our respective areas of craft, yeah? So 2 technology skills, of which one is AI, and then a third skill in our specific areas of work. So that was one way to embed it. The other is to practice. So once we've learned and built those skills, what are we going to do with them? And I'll speak about that later on in my discussion. What duration were we aiming for? A 3-year program, okay, by which time the outcome will be that we shall have created complete tech fluency across the organization. The interesting thing is, in this half year alone, we've moved faster than we had anticipated. Because as at closing of June, I'll share the data and analytics shortly, and you'll see how we've moved. And who are we doing this with? Literally everybody in the organization, whether it's each of the functions. Most of you by now would have undertaken, the Kenya team would have undertaken the 2+1 skills, so you would know that. We're also working with the AI tribe, Charlotte, to be able to design. We worked with her to design the learning journeys, and are now working with her to design the application, the opportunities for applying those skills. So looking at the analytics, which are on the next slides, where are we now? We have 32, I've talked about the 13 TECO skills we identified. We have 32 AI mentors, 94% completion in 2+1. Peter spoke about that. A staggering 99.7% completion of the AI-specific course. So you can see the hunger and drive across the entire organization for people to learn. And out of that, 98% have undertaken the skills assessment I spoke about earlier to help us understand where we are at so that we can identify the gap between the now and the to be to achieve the 65%. And that was all achieved by end of September. The bigger piece, which is what I now see major opportunity for major collaboration and engagement with all of you in the room, is how to then convert this from head to heart and then to hands, yeah? How do we then begin to enable people practice, experiment with the skills they've learned? And do so organically, so that not everybody who's undertaken these skills then moves into DIT or networks or the AI tribe. But we can be able to transform, experiment, innovate in our own spaces. So we're working with, we've started to work with Charlotte and team. I think it will call for more than just Charlotte and team, but a bigger village to enable people see the opportunities that identify and see how they can transform those opportunities that they have in their respective areas. We have a few success stories that I will share shortly. Ahead of sharing those, I can say what some of the key distinctive shifts we are seeing is the hunger for people to participate a lot more in tech-driven, people outside of tech, in tech-driven matters. We're seeing a lot of inquiries come to us and the HR advisors, business partners, on career paths that enable people utilize these skills a lot more. We're seeing people volunteer, put up their hands to be incorporated in their free time in some of the ongoing squads that are solving a particular need for a customer, whether it's a customer journey or a product solution development, which tells us that the culture we're looking to create is alive. What we need is enable those opportunities that people can then practice what they've learned. So a couple of use cases, and I'll specifically focus on those that have grown organically, especially in the last 6 months, coming, and we can see a line of sight between the use cases and the skills that teams have learned coming out of 2+1. So the first one is in the business space, and it's got to do with mobile data, where we're working with the teams in CBU to leverage AI for targeted customer value proposition offers. And this is helping unlock an additional revenue of 1.8 million Kenya shillings per day. How much is that in dollars? Divide by 130. So we give it $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 additional revenue per day in mobile data alone. So you can see the link between CX, providing intuitive customer solutions, that solution making business sense, as Peter was talking about the 3 outcomes. The efficiency piece we're still looking to measure. The second one is a work in progress. We are working with the property team within resources to develop AI-enabled cameras in our 900, to be installed in our 900 plus fleet of vehicles. And that's because we realized we had a number of incidents, safety incidents this year, that have helped us realize the need for further analytics to be able to understand, to improve the safety environment in the organization. And we are looking to go beyond a camera that just shows you what happened, but AI that enables you to detect the why. For example, what behaviors would a driver who's exhausted be exhibiting that AI can help pick up, so that we then perhaps review our journey planning and the number of hours any driver in the organization needs to rest before they embark on a journey. And that in itself will help us shift from just the behavior we are observing to the insights coming out of that behavior. That's a work in progress. The third one, which is also nearly there, is the employee super app, which was launched early on in the year. We are now embedding an AI solution called, who wants to guess? If you get it right, I'll need you to explain to the non-Kenyan neighbors. Who wants to guess? It's an AI bot. Any guess will do at this point, and it's a Kiswahili word. But somebody actually said it. K-A? Kazuri. So you know Zuri is our bot, so we are now calling it Kazuri, which is an AI-enabled employee that's going to respond to all the frequent, repetitive operational asks that we get from the teams. And the value there is you type in something and it links to all our policies across the organization. You type in something and you get your answers real time. It saves you the need to look for your phone and call somebody in HR service delivery. It enables our people respond to their needs much quicker. And we are going a further step ahead as part of the testing and creating the human element, the empathy element in Kazuri, so that if, for example, somebody applies for medical leave, Kazuri doesn't just blast information to the person. She shows. I'm thinking, is Kazuri a lady or a man? Kazuri shows empathy in their response. And at the same time, we're also testing the quality of responses coming through, so that from an information security and ethical management of the data coming out of Kazuri, we are able to then offer assurances at that level. So what's my call to action with respect to this whole team? One, please continue to partner with us to make AI more generalizable, explainable, understandable to everyone, and ethical use. Okay. The second one, please help us build the use cases. And the use cases be, yes, those big pieces like Kazuri or any of the earlier ones that Lucille showed that cut across the organization. And equally more important, the organic ones, the day-to-day improvements, the atomic improvements that we can make by leveraging AI in our day-to-day work, so that we collectively lift the operational efficiencies and innovation in the organization. I think that's the second part of effort we are going to focus on between now and March 2025, as we prepare for the next leg of lifting tech capabilities in the organization. Thank you.
Any questions from the room? Any questions from the room? And thank you so much, Nyokabi, for articulating the importance and how we are using it, how we're using AI in the workforce. Any questions in the room? I guess it was very clear. It was as clear as day.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Thank you so much. Another warm applause for Nyokabi. So there is a housekeeping rule I would like to reiterate for our guests in the room about the washrooms. So I've been told that there are people who are getting lost, and I'm very sorry about that. I think this speaks to the customer experience. So allow me, allow me, and I wish we had Kazuri to actually point out, but the washrooms are on my left, so on this hallway. The second door, because I can see a first door which is for the differently able people, but the second door is on your right, and through that door, don't go into the cafeteria. On your right side, you'll see the ladies and the gents. On your right side. So if you head over down to the cafeteria, then you'll be going to the fire exit, and we don't want that. So on your right, you'll see the ladies and the gents. Okay, good people, how are we feeling? Great? Are we learning? Are we collaborating? Are we, are we picking enough notes to take back to Lesotho, SA, Tanzania? Yes? Thank you very much. So without further ado, you've heard from the experts, and I know they're calling themselves, they're not experts, but they're truly indeed experts. And they know why it is important for AI, for us to adopt it and to utilize it, especially in bringing the customer into the room and solving societal problems. And that is why we're here. The next speaker is an actual thought leader, an AI expert, if I may say. And I want to read out something about him. He's the co-founder and CEO of Iguazio. So this Iguazio is an AI platform which enables enterprises worldwide to develop, deploy, and manage their AI and Gen AI applications in live business environments, drastically shortening the time required to create real business impact with AI. He has been at the helm of the tech, data, and AI scene for over 30 years. So he's definitely qualified as an AI expert. Asaf, I hope this is you and we're not shocking you with all this. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Asaf onto the stage so that he can share his insights and views on this integral bit. Asante sana. Karibu. Welcome.
So I'm sharing. Up there. So let me know if I need to do anything, because I am sharing. Perfect. So talking about 30 years ago, in fact, a little bit more than 30 years ago, when I did my computer engineering degree, I think it was the second year, still in the 80s, and I took an AI course. And this was out of a few courses I took, but this was the first one. This grumpy professor comes into the class and says, just so you know, this is the third winter of AI. It's not so popular now. Maybe in the future. Well, I guess it's the future now. So really happy to be here. And thank you, Charlotte, for inviting me, and also myself and the team. Okay. Myself and the team had the pleasure of working with the AI tribe for a few months already, and really kudos. My team always says that this is a great team and very professional. We're seeing already great results. We've in fact seen already good results after the first week of joint work. So I'm super happy with this partnership that we have with Safaricom and now with the bigger group. As part of the intro, I've actually been working with my co-founders. Again, I'm a person of long-term relationships, talking about partnerships. I actually met my wife in 1984. We've been, so that's, but I met my co-founder in 2001, and since then we actually been working on several companies. And the first one back in 2001 was a company called Voltaire that we took public in NASDAQ and later got acquired by a company called Mellanox that was later acquired by NVIDIA. Hence, chunks of our technology that we developed back then are already embedded in the GPUs that you guys are using today or are being used in any of the AI workload that you guys are deploying and developing. And that actually gave us a very interesting perspective on everything that is happening now. We'll get in my section, the later part may be a little bit too technical, even for me, in terms of just showing how the world today doesn't understand how to use GPUs right, and that causes many, many inefficiencies, but my team knows well how to use that. We'll talk about that. But before that, I want to introduce a concept of an AI factory, and this is in fact what we're actually building together right now at Safaricom, and I would love to see it actually across the group. Something that allows you to actually be much more efficient from the idea all the way to deploying at scale. As Peter said this morning, at scale is key. It's not enough just to make it work. It's about making it run at scale. At scale means that it does serve the required scale that the business wants, but also does it at a reasonable cost, because those things, especially talking about in using GPUs, can become super expensive. So, as always, we talked about the acquisition. So Iguazio has been an independent company. We founded the company 10 years ago, and almost 2 years ago, McKinsey acquired us. And you ask, why McKinsey? Well, McKinsey, people don't know that, but McKinsey, about 40% of their transformation projects are already using AI in the heart of them. McKinsey has thousands of data scientists, data engineers, software developers that are involved in part of that digital part of McKinsey. And they actually saw this gap that you have. And those, you guys are the experts and practitioners. I'm sure you've seen that, building a demo or a pilot in AI is so much easier than actually taking it to production and all the hustle around that. And McKinsey have seen this gap between the piloting and the production. They have experienced it themselves. They've seen the inefficiencies, and then went out look to find a company that bridges that gap. And that's what we've been doing for the past almost 10 years. And it's great that we've been helping clients across industries. I heard here today, it's only the beginning of the day, and we heard here so many use cases, and almost in all the use cases that were mentioned, we had experience with. And very important to explain how we work. When we say we enable these use cases, we are not those companies that actually build the use case for you and you get a black box and then you run it in your business. No. What Iguazio does, what we do, is actually providing you the tooling through an open architecture that you will actually build for yourself an environment that is super efficient in actually taking AI to production at scale, and you become the builders of those applications at a faster pace with all the innovation, with all these great ideas I've seen here. And I have to say, I've been working with clients all over the world, with companies in the telcos, in banking, key industries that I work with. And I have to say, what I've seen this morning, and this is, kind of internal meetings, right? So I'm not going to share too much outside, of course, but I'm super impressed with how you guys are taking this seriously, how advanced you are in your thought leadership in terms of already embedding AI in the organization, in your plans, in a way that I've seen many players in the space. You guys, I would say, way ahead. So, Gen AI, this actually made us super busy. As soon as the acquisition happened in early 2023, you can imagine, well, being part of McKinsey, and you heard what Peter said this morning. Gen AI has become like a top of mind for all CEOs. And when a CEO has a question, he goes to his McKinsey partner, right? So McKinsey was bombarded with questions about what am I going to do with Gen AI? And there were all these engagements that were all around strategy and basically more explaining what can be done and identifying the business potential. There wasn't a lot of real, hands-on work. There wasn't a lot of stuff that was really deployed in production back in 2023. But now, 10 months into 24, I have to say that we have seen a huge shift. And now it's becoming more practical, not just with the excitement of the potential, but also with the challenges. How do I scale it? How do I do it at a reasonable cost? How do I govern it? We didn't talk about it today. I didn't hear a lot about governance, but this is key. AI and specifically Gen AI can be scary. Mistakes and stuff that wasn't supposed to happen. We hear a lot about hallucinations. How do you avoid that? How do you actually build an organization that is agile enough in terms of adapting and innovating, and at the same time prudent in terms of being able to actually control the beast, control the processes. With all this innovation, things are happening so fast, sometimes running a bit too fast could be a problem. I don't know if you've seen the story with Air Canada, a very famous airline that went very quickly, created a chatbot based on Gen AI, and ended up with a conversation between a customer and the bot that made them pay a lot of money because he tricked the bot into actually admitting that this is the policy, and they got thousands of dollars out of that bot that was hallucinating probably. This was about a year ago already. We've seen a car dealership in the US that the customer managed to get the bot to sell a car for $1. And this was all over the news, again, already in 2023. So people actually understood that, hey, let's just do it at the right way. And the concept of an AI factory is something that enables you to work this way. So, as I said, we got the challenge of scaling it, the actual implementation, and then the de-risking of it. When it comes to all of that, if we go to the next level of details, we're talking about the cost performance. We've seen many clients that actually get to functional application. Yay, everything is working. The application is actually working. But then they do the math based on the load and the scale that they actually need to deliver for, and suddenly they need a truck full of GPUs to actually be shipped from NVIDIA to them. Two problems. A, too expensive. Other problem, you will not get them. They're very hard to obtain these days. Even you pay a lot of money, you get them like in a delay sometimes of a year of lead time. So those 2 points actually go hand in hand quite a lot. The GPU efficiency, performance versus cost, and there's still a lot of lack of knowledge how to use those GPUs, which result in high cost or in lack of ability to deliver applications to production. We'll see an example later on in the talk. Model risk approval processes, organizations need to change there. I've seen, especially in the banking sector, and you guys are basically a bank in many ways, right? I've seen processes that are kind of weird. They're saying, okay, we have a process now to approve a new LLM. I said, okay, what's the process? And we have all these committees, and it typically takes 9 months. I said, 9 months. 9 months. In 2 months, this model will not be relevant anymore. So you'd better stop this process. So people need to understand this, need to actually adopt it. We are seeing organizations, again, I won't be able to go into all the details today, but just as a soundbite, where actually, just like it is with open source technologies, that they are with open source, there are risks regarding vulnerabilities, regarding even IP-related issues, but you don't have a committee that actually sits every week and decides what's good, what's not good. You actually manage to create a process, moving the responsibility lower in the chain to product owners, to developers, in a way that they can actually make the right call. And with the right guidelines and education, you can do that and avoid creating bottlenecks when it comes to approvals. And the last piece here is the fast-changing landscape. I mentioned it in the context of the LLMs, but the architectures, the technologies, there's a new tool that does this and that. So, and the competition between the cloud vendors, not only enterprises, the cloud vendors are super hysterical. They're concerned. Yes, they're making a lot of money because of Gen AI, but they think, and we've seen actually the shifts between the control of the different cloud vendors, how actually Microsoft got much more momentum with their close ties with OpenAI. And all of them actually making moves right now that eventually lock in their customers. So enterprises need to be very careful on how they work with their cloud providers, creating an open architecture in a way that allows them to have this flexibility, especially in highly regulated industries. And of course, you guys are in part of that. How to actually balance between cloud and on-prem. How do you actually have the ability to move around workloads between cloud and on-prem? How you can develop here, deploy there, and vice versa in the same experience. We're talking here the user experience of your developers, the data scientists, the software developers, the MLEs, that you can actually work in a single approach rather than every environment requires its own proprietary tooling. So these are things to consider. And that's a busy slide, but the main message here is, yes, we're beyond the what it's going to do. I mean, there's so many ideas and good ones. It's the how. And this picture on the side, not crazy about it, but it's commoditization. If you think about LLMs, most of the work we do with clients today is with the open source LLMs, getting very, very good results. And this market is commoditizing very fast. There's this crazy arms race between all of those organizations and companies that deliver the LLMs. Yeah, they're moving very fast. But for many, many business applications, the open source versions are good enough. And you don't always need to get to the latest version, but it's important that you create an environment that allows you to move between models, and I'll show you later an example that you have so many models within one application. And going back to the problem statement where we talked about how we founded the company, again, getting that Gen AI application, if you remember that chasm slide I had in the beginning, now it's even easier than with classic machine learning to build a pilot, to build a demo. Because with all these services, OpenAI, you don't need to do a lot because everything is happening behind the scenes and the demo is ready. Within hours, we've seen, all these hackathons are super exciting these days because you actually see results within hours. But taking that to production with the limitation, with the scaling, with the cost related to that, requires so many more activities. And we try to kind of map it and say, okay, you got the stuff related to the data management, you got the stuff related to the continuous delivery, intentionally saying continuous because most organizations for the past 20 years have moved to CI/CD in software. But when it comes to machine learning, they were not there. They were using CI/CD only for very small parts of that. I'm happy that you guys are doing that, but the piece that most enterprises forget is that it's a closed loop. you need to constantly monitor what's happening with these applications beyond classic software. Because as soon as patterns are changing in your user base, in your data sources, funny things can happen, and the period that actually educated the market in the best possible way was during COVID, because we've seen so many enterprises that actually took their application that were based on machine learning, created an endpoint, had it running, those applications were making good money for them, and they forgot about them, and suddenly came COVID. And patterns were changing by the week. Suddenly, all passengers are taking only one-way tickets. Suddenly this airline is losing money because this was a pattern that showed one thing and the model didn't account it for. And then only after losing money, they realize, oh my God, we actually need to look at the data before it's even fed into the model, detect data drift, look at the accuracy of the models, and if needed, let's retrain. How do you build this process that is not too painful? So this is the part around the live operation and everything around that. Comes Gen AI, it actually adds to it more layers. If you think about it, there are all these things with LLMs that people talk about, quiet cells within LLM. I don't want to scare you too much, but someone can actually plug a logic into an LLM that on a particular date, something bad will be done by that LLM. All security companies keep kind of trying to see if they can identify such things. But let's assume something like that is identified while you're using some of these models in production. You want to know exactly which application, what application, where and what is using that particular model so you can actually bring it down so you're not exposed to a crazy vulnerability. We have that today with vulnerability tests and scanning in software, in classic software. Remember Log4j was like the world immediately reacted to it. It wasn't a big deal. With Gen AI and LLMs, it can happen. People are not ready for that yet. Again, this is something that actually has to be done in the way you monitor your systems, in the way you actually have the inventory of what exactly is running, especially in your staging and in production. Now, we take it to the next level. This is now showing that McKinsey does influence Iguazio within McKinsey. This is a classic McKinsey slide. With the small enough font that nobody can read it here, but I'll explain the principle here. What we have done here, we actually mapped all these capabilities that you need in a fully fledged environment with all the monitoring and all the scaling, and we actually split it between reusable infrastructure and platform-related capabilities and to the stuff that is more application-specific. It could be very, very confusing because some people are doing everything from scratch every time they have an application. That's a waste. Sometimes they're actually doing stuff within the application that is actually platform-related. So where do you put the line? And we've done a lot of work on that. Again, there's no time today, but I just want to introduce the concept. We're also marking what would be necessary for an MVP. And this is how we actually, when we work with clients on building their factories, this is actually how we create the priorities and the timeline around these. That's how it looks in the end. Basically, it's the continuous and endless process from development to deployment to the monitoring and data management that never ends. Again, it's beyond the classic approaches of software. This is where I have to say, maybe I'll mention it in the next slide, but then governments comes in the middle, and it does, you guys are a telco. You have all these network operating centers with all those quite cool environments with all those screens. That's how also AI applications should be treated in the same way where there's this continuous monitoring and governance happening. So in the heart of it comes MLOps. And one thing I just want to make sure that there is no confusion. I have till 11:05, right? Something like that? Okay. Still plenty of slides. MLOps. This is a term that wasn't so cool. You know, it still doesn't sound so cool, MLOps. And it created, there is some confusion around MLOps, especially when I meet with the high-level executives in enterprises. They think sometimes, and luckily I see it less and less, that, okay, I have an MLOps problem I need to fix. I have Gen AI, and I'm going to build infrastructure here and infrastructure here. No, that's a huge mistake. They go hand in hand, because Gen AI doesn't have a life of its own. If people are actually treating Gen AI separately, it's a mistake. In many cases, you'll have applications that combine multiple types of models. And wherever you can actually use non-LLMs, non-Gen AI models in an application, it's better for you. If its accuracy is good enough, you'll save a lot of money, because LLMs are expensive, and sometimes a good old machine learning model will do a better job than an LLM. It really depends on the nature of the use case. So, there's a need to combine the two things together. And MLOps is also, everything that MLOps does is also critical for LLMs. Now, so this is very similar in what we've seen in the previous kind of more marketing-oriented slide. Here we actually see how everything comes together with the back end where you have the data, preferably in a feature store, because in a feature store you can actually reduce the amount of work that every time you have a new project and you have this centralized repository for features where you can actually reuse stuff that was done before. And more importantly, when you have features that the transformations are done once, but when it comes to using them in production with live data sources, with streaming data sources, as opposed to the lab where you just have data frames, you don't want those same logics to be developed twice. So a feature store will actually centralize that for you and will make things more efficient. That is connected to the pipelines and CI/CD. CI/CD, I mentioned before that, again, early on, we've seen the mistake that people not really taking machine learning with CI/CD. Now we see people do that. But then, if you think about AI applications and versus classic software, there are extra dimensions. Classic software, you have like a single dimension. We'll get the code, you got the objects and the executables, in classic languages. But it's a single dimension, right? I mean, when it comes to machine learning, an application is actually a combination of code, this is classic software, models, and the data sets that were used to train them, and a particular version. So what we actually took as the challenge early on in the days of Iguazio is how to actually, when you build this factory, you actually leverage the existing CI/CD framework of the customer, of the client, and add the two dimensions, so that when you have an AI application, the three dimensions are in complete sync. The code, the model, the data sets, and you have access and you have the full observability to be able to actually manage that application well. And then come the next level. Please look at these applications as pipelines. It's not just a model. We hear so many people talk about the model. When you just talk about, okay, we developed a model, and that creates a problem when it comes to actually moving it between the development, staging, and production. And we always encourage people to think pipelines already at the development stage. Develop a complete pipeline that can be tested locally, tested at the staging, and tested and then taken to production. That reduces dramatically the time it takes to take things to production. So these are the general principles, and back to the monitoring that keeps happening continuously with the feedback on the data and the models. In the heart of what we do, there are 2 open source projects, and we already have some folks that are using them here, which is great to see. Let's start with MLRun. MLRun is the orchestration framework. That's kind of the major open source project, which is all about orchestrations and the pipelines. And the major thing here that you can see, it's actually eliminate the silos that have been there for many years. Many companies were operating in a way that you had the data science team and you had MLEs, and there was a gap between them. And lots of refactoring had to be done when you took stuff to production. How do you can actually create an environment that it actually flows better? And this is how it's done with MLRun. And again, not enough time today to actually go into a lot of details. MLRun also has special capabilities when it's come to Gen AI. Again, with allowing our clients to focus on the business logic. There is enough work to be done in the application. Forget about the infrastructure. Many people eventually dive into building infrastructure stuff related things rather than the logic of the applications. So this is, again, back to this split between platform related stuff and application related stuff. The whole logic behind MLRun is actually to reduce the overhead that the data scientists and the MLEs have. The second open source project that is in the heart of the solution is the Nucleo. It's the real-time serverless framework, which is now more important than ever. Gen AI introduces a stronger need for real-time inferencing. If in the past we've seen many customers that batch was good enough for them for many, many use cases or all of their use cases, if you think chatbots, if you think copilots, the inferencing needs to happen now at a low latency. How do you build for that? And this is where Nucleo comes in. It's a serverless function framework that we've built. I mean, as we were launching Iguazio at the time, we wanted to use actually serverless, just like you have Lambda in Amazon, you got Azure Functions in Azure, but we wanted something that is high performance enough. None of that was performant enough. And we wanted something that is working cross platforms. And eventually we had actually to do it ourselves. And this is Nucleo. The combination of Nucleo and MLRun plus additional enterprise features is what our platform is all about. That's how the AI factory looks like when it comes to kind of the high-level architecture that would allow you to run faster with projects in a way that it's lots of reused code that you have and shared infrastructure between projects. And it's not just the tech. I was happy to see a previous session talking about the people, but it's always the combination of adapting new technology, the processes around that. That's why whenever we embark on a new engagement with a client, we bring everybody in and talk about the processes of how you actually get stuff from development all the way to production, leveraging the new capabilities that you have now. And then comes centralization. I mentioned costs, I mentioned governance. Of course, you can see here, this is a survey that McKinsey did, what actually makes enterprises better in terms of using AI, and the centralized approach is actually better. And again, that factory allows you to actually work in a way that you centralize the production, but you can actually allow innovation at the BUs in a way that they have a mini set of that factory in their development environment. And then once they're ready, it's being pushed into centralized high-scale testing, and centralized production. Again, you want the pool of GPUs and all those expensive compute resources to be actually utilized in a shared way, just like cloud resources are shared between multiple groups, rather than giving single GPU to each GPU. It doesn't work this way. And GPU actually make the whole difference in terms of operating in this way. So, I still have time for a few examples. And one of the things that I was thinking is actually thinking beyond the classic networking and telco use cases. And we've done a lot of work in banking. And that's all very related to customer experience. And after what I heard this morning, I think this use case will, you're going to like it, I think. So this is actually in wealth management. And this is all about hyper-personalization, not just in the messages that you actually send to the client, marketing and things like that. With all the respect to marketing, I'm talking about making something completely holistic. So what we have here is a knowledge base at the individual level that is actually being served from all the interaction. And Lucille is still here? Yes. Wonderful. So what you were saying before is exactly this. You have all of these interactions from the call center recordings, the behavior, the devices. You can even, with the right permission, even track customers in their behavior in social media. In this case, given that you have M-Pesa, you have also information about financial transactions. So it's very similar to what the bank does. In fact, you are a bank. And then using all this information, you can continuously build this profile around a particular client. And then this is where you have additional knowledge bases, your up-to-date product base, your policies, and then the operational system. The operational system are basically systems that the application, the AI application will interact with directly. All of that, you can see here what typically are called use cases, but I call them functionalities. I mean, hyper-personalized recommendation engine is a functionality within this holistic approach. The fact that personalized communication will be sent to the client is another capability. It's not just a use case. And I want to show you an example in a video here that will show how within a conversation between a call center agent, in this particular case, it's a banking agent, talking with a client, that you see so many use cases that are happening, and then we'll see what happened behind the scenes. I still have time for that, right? Good. So I need to, let's see that I do it right. Let's see that we get, I'm sharing, right? Good. So what we see here is actually the screen of the agent sitting in the call center, where while the call is happening with the client, in this case, a rich client, everything is actually being in real time transcribed. And while it's being transcribed, it's been summarized, and the assistant, the co-pilot, not just summarizes, it also tells the agents, maybe you should ask that, maybe, or here is a question that comes directly from the customer, and the co-pilot brings the answer without having the agent needs to type it because the co-pilot heard it. So we will see how it flows. See that we're here. We have the sound. I'm sharing sound. But maybe I need to.
Morning. Those bonds seemed like a solid opportunity given the current.
So. Careful. Let's see that we get the sound.
Market trends.
Indeed.
Oh, it's
Your
coming.
instincts have served you well in the past. I'll be happy to send you some
A little bit more volume, please.
Ms. Chen, I hope this call finds you well. I couldn't help but notice your recent substantial investment in green energy bonds.
Okay, so the call starts. As soon as the call starts, the co-pilot actually brings the recent transactions that the client actually did herself. And the agent can actually comment about it and enrich her with more information. In this particular case, he will actually send her just more research notes about those.
Ah, yes. Good morning. Those bonds seemed like a solid opportunity given the current market trends.
Indeed. Your instincts have served you well in the past. I'll be happy to send you some recent research notes from our bank.
This is coming. You see here documents that are coming from for the repository of the firm.
I've come into some additional funds recently, and I'm looking to reinvest. What do you have in mind for me?
Okay. You see?
Given your recent history of successful tech investments,
the co-pilot heard, transcribed, understood, summarized, created an action, and came up with a recommendation. So here we got a real-time recommendation engine happening in real time with taking into account the profile of that particular customer. And here is a suggestion, which sounds like James thought about it himself.
I do have a suggestion that might align with your interests. Have you considered increasing your position in the Invesco QQQ Trust? It's an ETF that tracks the NASDAQ 100 index and has a strong focus on tech giants.
QQQ, you say? That does sound interesting. What's been its performance lately?
While past performance doesn't guarantee future results,
See, the
QQQ
question
has
and
shown
the answer
robust
here.
growth over the years. It's known for its exposure to companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and other giant tech leaders. Over the past decade, it's consistently outperformed many other broad market ETFs.
I like the sound of that. What would you recommend in terms of investments?
Yeah, question, how much money to put? Co-pilot calculates.
For a client of your caliber, Ms. Chen, I would suggest considering an investment in the range of $200,000 to $220,000 US dollars. This would allow you to significantly increase your technical.
Told you she was rich, right?
Concentrating your portfolio. Would you like me to prepare a more detailed analysis?
Yes, let's do that. And let's start with $200,000. I think it's a good time to boost my tech holdings.
Excellent choice, Ms. Chen. I'll prepare that analysis right away and initiate the investment process. Is there anything else I can assist you with today?
No, that'll be all. Oh, and do keep an eye out for any promising biotech opportunities. I might be interested in exploring that sector in the near future.
Okay, I'll certainly keep you informed of any notable biotech opportunities that come across my desk.
What happens now? The co-pilot actually detects that the call is about to end. And it's actually looking, what could we do now? Maybe we should upsell something. And based on the profile, the co-pilot actually detects, oh, the daughter of Miss Chen is 18. It's turning 18. Maybe there is an opportunity there. And of course, James says that we lost the sound.
She is. She was actually accepted to both Oxford and...
If I remember right, Sophia may be applying to colleges these days. Is that true?
Indeed she is. She was actually accepted to both Oxford and Cambridge to study law.
That's great, Ms. Chen. Congratulations. So I guess she'll be moving to the UK soon. From banking perspectives, we can have her covered very quickly. We can open an account for her at our UK bank and she'll receive the right treatment. We have special benefits for student accounts as well. Shall I start with that process?
Oh wow, please do. We have so much to manage with her move to the UK. At least we won't need to worry about this.
Excellent. So I'll be sending you 2 emails then. One with the research notes we discussed before about the QQQ investment process, and then a follow-up email with the opening of Sophia's UK bank account. Thank you for your continued trust in our services.
As it ends, the 2 emails are ready because there's another use case here, capability, which actually prepares those emails with the forms for the bank account, with the research notes that were mentioned during the call. The follow-up time of the agent is now 0 compared to what before he had to do. I mean, it would take quite a bit of time to actually get those emails done. Still, with human in the loop, it's basically drafting the email. The agent can actually read through them, see that there's nothing funny happening in there, and see what we had here. We had, within one interaction, so many use cases. But this is, for me, one use case, which is called a co-pilot for the call center, with upselling, with recommendation engine, with summarization, and of course, with the hyper-personalized results. So I'll be going back to here. So if you think about it, again, this is, why is it only here? Yeah, perfect. So within one application, you have so many use cases. So this is, again, it's a bit of a mind shift. You classify them today as use cases. Think of them as capabilities that can be embedded within more holistic applications. And still see what's happening in the back end of it. This is like, again, a continuous application. On one end, we see like 2 types of logics. Here, this is the actual logic of the conversation. Here, this is more of a technical logic to actually get the whole transcribing and conversation into the logic. So here, you actually have one type of, we got Wispy here doing the transcription. There is like logic in terms of detecting the end of a sentence, because you want to actually take the full sentence, add it to the summary, detect if there's a call happen, if the call is ending, and then actually come up with the upsell and so on. And all of these colors, it's not just LLMs. It's actually connectivity with actions into the operational systems, into your databases. I've seen people actually use an LLM to calculate a formula. Don't. It's such a waste. I mean, you can actually take the formula from the text that the LLM provides and use something else for that. You want to actually go into the repositories of documents and so on. So it's not just LLMs. It's not that you don't need actually to do everything with fine-tuning and RAG. You can actually extract the function that is needed and activate a third-party tool that is probably much cheaper than doing something on an LLM. Still got a few minutes, right? So, last example this is still within the call center, but this is summarization. And this is an example of a project that eventually the client was super happy that they actually, with Gen AI, they have the ability now to actually analyze all the calls that they have, not just a sample of them. They have the ability to be much more accurate, to actually have, you can actually see here, all of these functions are happening on the calls. It's the summarizations, it's the understanding the quality of the service that the client was given. This is for better training, understanding the root cause. If there is a complaint, maybe there's a problem in the network, and we can actually reduce that, deflect these calls, and so on. So this is the functional part. The client was super happy, but then they did the math. And this is the example I was sharing before. They would need a truck of GPUs to actually analyze all their daily calls within the same day. So they had to go back to the drawing board. And we basically worked with them in some cases, you can actually offload to the CPU. In some cases, you can actually parallelize. In some cases, you don't really need an LLM. And eventually, this was a result. 60x reduce cost of compute. And 60x sounds crazy, not realistic, but it just shows that the knowledge in the market today on how to use GPUs. This is a client that had to do everything on premises. So they were basically using physical GPUs on their servers. But that problem also exists when you run GPU hours in your own VPC in Amazon. You will have the same problem if you don't know how to use those GPUs. And eventually, they got to their business goals. So I was also asked to show how this is done. I think I covered most of the issues when it comes to what we see GPUs in the market. I talked about it quite a bit. And here is, again, this is just sound bites, and I'll finish with that, promise, of how it works. So in general, we have like, let's say it's a GPU with 80 gig of memory, and the LLM that you're using in this particular job takes half of it. And you need the memory also for the input and output in a particular job. So the naive approach is actually to run a one-off. You'll have a lot of the memory of the GPU unused, and then you'll go to the next job and the next job, and very inefficient. There is a very easy way. Again, this is all automatic when you're using ML Run. There is no need to actually go into the heart of the GPU and actually batch it in a way that you're running in parallel 13 of these jobs and actually using the memory to the max. At the same time, you run 13 as opposed to what you did before. Then comes the ability to actually have multiple jobs and avoid the time that the GPU is sitting idle. So there is a way to actually move them around so they don't wait for each other. Then comes when you have multiple GPUs, where most enterprises do, how do you actually use them right where you actually parallelize them? This is the multi-GPU part. Sorry. I know I'm running a bit late, but just to understand the topics we have in there. So this is with multiple GPUs. But then comes the other side of it, which is especially important for inferencing, where you want to slice the GPU. Sometimes the models in the inferencing is not so big. You don't need the full GPU. You want to slice it. NVIDIA does like hard-coded slicing for up to 7 or 8. There is a way to actually do it dynamically. And that is where you actually get much more performance and cost reduction. And I just wanted, we can actually arrange sessions to actually take you through with our experts how this is done. And this is the behind the scenes of how you actually save a lot of money and utilize your GPUs much more than they are today. Again, I'm not saying you guys don't know how to use GPUs. I'm saying the industry in general, there's a huge gap of knowledge around how to use them, even within NVIDIA, as funny as it sounds. They're growing like crazy, and they don't have enough time to learn whatever they're actually building because of their fast-moving generations. So, I was running. I hope it wasn't too fast. And I'm here for the next couple of days, and if you have questions, just, probably not now because I'm over it. So just talk to me. Thank you very much.
A round of applause. Actually, Asaf, there are some questions, and I want us to take like 5 minutes of questions, right? I know there are a lot of questions here.
Okay.
And maybe we could start with the online before I come to you, if that's okay. There's a question here from Gift. He asks, how can you balance the self-governance and revenue needs of the business, and how can you convince executives of ethical usage of AI? Can we take 3 questions and then?
Okay, these were 2.
2 more? Oh.
No, there were 2 questions. Anyhow, balancing. Yeah. Well, that's where, judgment comes into play, because as I said before, it's on one end you want to encourage innovation. On the other end, you want to control it. How do you do that? I think in terms of organizational structure, what I showed earlier, where you have like a centralized factory where you test at scale and run, so you have full control on what actually is being run, but you still decentralize and you actually move to the BUs the knowledge and the ability to actually build applications. There is less risk when you build the application. The risk is when you actually run it. So I think that allows you to balance a bit, but of course, you know, when you have like approval processes, that's what I said before. I mean, you need to find a way of, rather than being unrealistic and taking too long process where it's irrelevant anymore, find something. And again, there are lots of details there, how you actually move responsibility to the product owner. There is a method where you split the different types of LLMs. If it's an LLM which is a creator, you probably want to check the risk around IP, intellectual property. But if it's a summarization LLM, no IP issues there. So you can actually check that out and have a faster process. So I don't know if I answered that question enough.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have. We have a question here. And you can just stand up, say your name and your question.
Mic check.
There you go.
Thank you. My name is Marvin Ngesa, and thank you for the presentation. I wanted to know about the cost or how you're pricing your product, particularly the one for the center, the center where the agents are. Also, if you have a link to the video, you could share it with us, or product details. And I think McKinsey is a big company. Are you building your own LLMs, or are you leveraging on the existing ones? And if you're leveraging on the existing ones, which ones are you using? Ooh. Then, do you have like an active customer using them today?
Of course.
And if you have a customer, what will be what's your biggest challenge with the customer?
Biggest
challenge.
Okay, so I'll try to see if I remember. Movie, right? That's your name. Okay.
Marvin.
But all the questions. Yeah. So first, I mean, we can start negotiating pricing on the product, no, but I won't do it here. No, but the way we price it, it's important because many of the tools in the AI space are actually going by seats, and because they're more around development. Our motivation is around scale. So we don't limit the number of users. What we actually do is actually, when we deliver our product to clients, it comes with kind of bundles. Development environment, a staging environment, and a production environment. Each one is running on a full cluster of servers. It uses Kubernetes. It can run in any, on any cloud and also on premises. We don't really care where you run that, so it's basically kind of you can call it a floating subscription. The way we work is a subscription, just like most software companies these days. And the software actually gets deployed within your cloud account, within your on-premises. It's not SaaS, because this is actually, I call it so personal. You're building, you have all these tools and so on. It doesn't make sense that you'll have an external SaaS thing that interacts with all of this, especially with all the sensitivities. So it's actually software that gets into your environment. You operate it, but we also have a support team that can have access remotely. The team here, I've seen how we operate. So, you can ask Anthony. He knows well. You were asking about McKinsey. So, yes, we are part of McKinsey, and this is public information that McKinsey actually has its own internal ChatGPT called Lily, which, we as McKinsey employees, we're not allowed to use ChatGPT for anything related to work. So it's actually Lily that actually is much more governed and more secure, that only there we can actually ask business-related topics or use do-rag with data that is related to business. That's kind of used internally, but my focus is actually on enabling clients to use. So we have many dozens of clients across many verticals. You're asking what is the typical challenge at the client environment or the biggest challenge we had? Yeah, so what would be the challenge with the client environment?
Let me choose this.
So if I understand the question, I mean, we have a very adaptable and modular platform that actually connects with the tooling that clients have. You know, challenges could arise if the data sources are problematic. Sometimes it takes a lot of time till people have access to the data that they need for an application, and I'm sure you've seen it, that people won't let them use that data for an application. And how do you actually use the data in real time? And as I said before, there is an inflection point in time when it comes to use in real time, because A, senior leadership in any organization is very mindful around AI. In the past, we have seen many customers that couldn't develop AI applications because they would never have access to the data. And now they get those exceptions or actually new policies that allows them to get it. Because otherwise, most Gen AI applications will not be able to run if you don't have access to the data in real time. So it was mainly around processes. As I said before, we need to fix processes. It's not just a tech.
Okay. Thank you very much. State your name. You can stand. Your name and your question.
Oh, hi. Thanks for the presentation. My name is Kanyi. One thing about Africa is that we've got one of the highest linguistic diversities in the world.
Highest what?
Sorry?
Highest what?
Linguistic diversity.
Oh, yes. Good question. Excellent
in the
question.
world. So this includes diverse linguistic contexts with varying accents and dialects. So I'm just interested to know, how does your model cater for African accented speech, and how well does it perform on African accented speech? And also, what happens when it's not able to pick up those nuances and make out the context of what the customer is saying?
Excellent. So first, just to clarify, we are not developing the model. There is no one model. There are so many models out there that for what you've seen before, that flowchart in the Copilot, none of them were Iguazi or McKinsey models. There were Whisper, there were Llama, there were, I forget. I mean, it's a variety of models that we use off the shelf, whether it's open source, whether it's commercial. We have partnerships with the commercial vendors as well. And sometimes you can use the APIs from the cloud vendors. So it's about creating an environment that gives you the flexibility to use all of those types of models, and building the right AI factory should accommodate for all. And for any particular use case, this is where you actually need to check what will be the best case. I didn't show some of the slides that I had in the backup, but I won't get in there. In terms of that call center analysis, the process of the joint learning with the client, starting with one model that was too big and too expensive, moving to someone that was too small and not accurate enough, and then we actually settle for something that is affordable and accurate enough. Talking about the language issue, this actually example that I was showing with the call center analysis happened in Turkey. This is a Turkish bank that, Turkish is spoken mainly in Turkey and some countries near Turkey. It's not, I mean, most models are not, have not been trained with Turkish. So this project actually happened more than a year ago. So at the time, it was hard to find good enough models. So what we actually created in the pipeline, in many cases, translations, just translating from English to even dialects, there is good enough model base out there. But then summarization is not good enough. So what we did, and this is how it's running in production today, the transcription is actually happening and the translation is happening with a particular model. Then we actually translate it into English with that model. We do the summarization in English, and then translate back into Turkish, and that's how the pipeline goes. You wouldn't need to do that with a widely used language, but this is actually some of the thing, and we have done that with other languages later on, and it's true for dialects. And sometimes, you know, if you look at, and I'm pretty sure from what I'm hearing, it happens the same here. Sometimes you have a language which is a mix of multiple languages. You know, in Singapore, they have their English, which is like many words in Chinese and English with a particular accent. So accents are important as well when it comes to voice recognition. But then written language, the mix of languages becomes a language. Actually had a long conversation with one of our Gen AI experts where he said it turns into a subcategory, that dialect become a language because it involves multiple. And from the model perspective, it's a word. I mean, it doesn't care what's the origin. So, but it does definitely, when you have dialects where there's not a lot of literature and material in the internet, many of the models are not accurate enough. But actually, the big tech, you know, the Microsoft and the Googles are actually adding more and more languages as we speak. We've seen a huge jump in dialects between last year and this year.
Good stuff. Okay. I see there was a question at the back, and allow us to take that last one question so that we can break for the next session.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Hi, Asaf. Hilary here, Safaricom. So my question is, from your experience with GPU technology and building that kind of technology, even before the buzz around GPUs, for us who are GPU poor, as it's stated, do you see at what angle do you see this changing from a perspective of scaling? Because currently we look at it as, for you to train a base model, you have to horizontally scale. It's ridiculously expensive. Do you foresee newer technology in the GPU space that will be a little bit more efficient and more affordable? Or do you foresee newer technology from the LLM model side that will be more efficient to run on normal architectures of CPUs?
Okay, so first, with what's happening right now, as you saw in the last part of the talk, there are many ways to actually improve efficiency of using GPUs because of the lack of knowledge in the market. Let's start with that. Then, it's true, the situation in the market right now, that it's a de facto monopoly. I know my NVIDIA friends, and I have many friends in NVIDIA, wouldn't like to hear that, but it's a monopoly. And the thing that happened was that we've seen huge companies like SoftBank pour money into startups to compete with NVIDIA, but they are still in the dust of NVIDIA. I'm not seeing, you know, with all the moves from AMD and ARM, it's still not there. So as long as GPUs are kind of a single source in the market, it's going to remain so expensive. It's not supposed to be this way. Usually, compute infrastructure is a losing business. Back in the days where NVIDIA and AMD were on par when it comes to GPUs, we were doing a lot of work in high-performance computing. They were actually selling the latest generations, the big supercomputers, as a loss, as a marketing expense at the time. Once they actually detached themselves from the market, it became so expensive today. And I think once there is another player in the market, it will change the dynamics. But right now, we all depend on them. Even the big cloud companies, they were developing their own TPUs, but eventually, they're still buying tons from NVIDIA. Hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Hilary, I think you're good.
If
Yeah,
not,
awesome.
I'll do it over the break.
Cool. A round of applause for Asaf, guys. Thank you so much. So we have come to the end of the first half of this session. I truly hope that you've been challenged enough, you've learned a lot, and for our audience who are online, please just drop a fire emoji so that we can know you're still with us and you're actually engaging and you're following through the conversations. So we are headed over now to the most exciting bit, which is the hackathon. So the guys who are present in the room will be going into their different teams and hacking their way through what possible solutions can we get and what possible solutions can they derive from these conversations, and which will ultimately be solving some societal problems or our customer problems at that fact. So guys, I want to allow you to break for some health break. For the guys in the room, please go have some tea, coffee. Let's stretch for a bit for 15 minutes. Then we will be back and I will share with you guys what are the next steps. For our audience online, I will see you back at 3 p.m. Asanteni sana. See you. See you shortly, actually. Yes.